sold out Invesco Field in Denver for the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. The Broncos control their own situation in the AFC playoff picture, holding on to the 6th and final slot. Hi, everyone, with Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan. Great to have you with us this afternoon. We know about Denver's great offense. What makes them so great?
Well, what makes them great? What's the dynamite behind this explosion in this football team and in this city here in Denver? The offensive line has been good for a long time. Is one of the league's smallest, if not the smallest. What are they really good at? You think of big guys when you think of zone blocking, but this small, powerful group works excellent zone blocking, getting to the second level. Watch Elam, the center, and Hamilton, the left guard, working first on Ryan Sims, the defensive tackle, then moving up onto the linebacker. Virtually untouched through the middle of the defense goes Clinton Portis. That's what game in, game out, play in, play out, this Denver line does better than anybody else in the league.
Randy, what's your read on the Cleveland Browns?
I think it's really pretty simple for Butch Davis and his football team. For 2004, the season starts right now. I don't care if it is the middle of December. His football team put on a prideful performance Monday night against the Rams. They need another one of those. They need to build on something to work on for next year.
Butch Davis is in his 3rd season, and today brings his Browns into balmy Denver. 60 degrees, slight breeze out of the southeast, and it is sunny Mike Shanahan in his 9th season as the head coach of the Denver Broncos. There's been a lot of Denver success against this Cleveland franchise. The last time they met was in the 2000 season. Denver will kick off, and deep back Andre King along with Frisman Jackson. The kickoff from Mike Anor. It's the Broncos, it's the Browns, and here we go with Andre King taking it from about the goal line. And then hit brought down by Sam Brandon, Scott Turner, Ryan McNeil. 30-yard return and up near the 31-yard line. Quarterback Tim Couch has relieved the other starter, Kelly Holcomb, 2 consecutive weeks. 6th start of the season for Couch. The offensive line has had numerous changes this season, but a constant has been Ryan Tucker. He has started every game. And Jamel White took over for starter James Jackson last week because of injury. Went on to record a 100-yard game against the St. Louis Rams.
And this offense has been in false start mode all year long, really, it seems, because of the offensive line unrest. Ryan Tucker's had an excellent year at right tackle, but the line's been unsteady. So has the quarterback, so has the running game.
Sean Thompson is the player down for the Cleveland Browns, a rookie 2nd-round pick out of West Texas A&M. And so that is the reason for our stoppage of play. There have been many big games today in the NFL, which we will be updating you on as this game goes on here in Denver.
And injuries are just a part of this season for Cleveland, as it so often is. Left part of the screen right here. Watch the lower bottle. Sam Brandon comes in, whipping around on the tackle right into the back of the legs of Thompson. Cleveland has more injured reserve players than anybody else in the league, and when you're having a losing year and things are snowballing on you, that's what happens. You just keep getting ill-timed injuries.
When you look at the significant injuries for the Cleveland Browns, William Green, of course, suspended and out, but he is no longer on the roster for this year. James Jackson injured last week. Their kicker, Phil Dawson, breaks an arm last week. Kevin Johnson let go. Courtney Brown hurt last week. And the offensive line has just been a jumbled mess throughout the year.
And you got to remember that the Cleveland Browns were a sort of a flavor of the month last year as a playoff team. Really, people looking for them for this year to really come in and do things special, and there's been general unrest from soup to nuts.
They'll be on the 30-yard line. They've got White in the backfield. And they've got Davis on the move. 1st and 10. White hit by Al Wilson. Also by Sprague and brought down. Gain of 3. The Denver defense, third ranked in the NFL, and Bertrand Berry on the defensive line has a team-high 10 sacks, including 2 last week against the Chiefs. The leading tackler, Al Wilson, who remains the only starter left in a group that has been hit hard with injury, and Lenny Walls, part of a secondary that is rated number 6 in the NFL. Second down, 8 from the 32. Wide again, a block from Stokes, and he finds a gap, and he's brought down by Spragan near the 38-yard line on a gain of 6.
And this is a nice job, I think, by Butch Davis's offense, getting off to this type of a start, setting yourself up into a 3rd and short territory. So Arians, the offensive coordinator for Butch Davis, really can call just about anything. Keep your offense on the field, and Bruce Arians keep calling these plays, keep the offense on, and Denver's off the field.
Base defense remains for Denver. 38-yard line, 3rd down and 2 for Cleveland, with 3 wide receivers, including Quincy Morgan on the fly. And Couch throws, almost intercepted by Lenny Walls, incomplete, and Cleveland's got a punt on their first possession today.
Good poise and protection for Tim Couch. Standing in the pocket strong. Ill-advised pass, though. You've got a defensive player going underneath like that, like Lenny Walls was, just waiting to poach on that pass. Couch should have never thrown that ball in that area.
Deltha O'Neal is back, awaiting the punt from Chris Gardocki. It's a fake, and it's picked up by Boyer, who tried to throw it, and it's incomplete.
That's an incomplete pass. It's a shovel pass.
Boyer was the personal protector. They were trying to go to one of the guys on the line, Michael Jamison.
Now here's Boyer at up back. Quick shuttle. If he would have got it there, the shovel was there. He had the opportunity to complete it, but he threw that like a linebacker. What a coincidence. He is a linebacker.
So look at where Denver begins on the 38-yard line of the Cleveland Browns.
And this is a hot offense. We talked already about how good their offensive line is, and Jake Plummer's getting better week by week.
They got Portis in the backfield, a couple of tight ends, McCaffrey on the fly, and Jake Plummer, first down and 10. Clinton Portis breaks a tackle and then is devoured by Boyer along with Davis. 30-yard line, gain of 8. 28-year-old Jake Plummer has come back to throw 6 touchdowns and just 2 picks since returning from injury. Right tackle Matt Lepps has had a terrific game last week against Kansas City, and part of a veteran group that is playing as well as any in the NFL. And running back Clinton Portis has the highest average per carry in the NFL, almost 6 yards an attempt. He picked up 8 that last time, 2nd down and 2 from the 30-yard line. 4-3-4 defense for the Browns. McCaffrey on the fly. And Portis gets the call. And Slithers close. If he got the first down, looks like he did. Brought down by Tyrone Rogers on the line, picking up 3. That's the first. Cleveland defense got a great performance from Orpheus Roy last week against St. Louis, but they did lose Courtney Brown for the season. He's a great one, as is linebacker Andre Davis, a first-year starter and an emerging player. In the secondary, Earl Little is tied a career high with 5 interceptions. Dalen McCutcheon inactive today because of an ankle. Roosevelt Williams makes his 3rd NFL career start, first with the Browns. First down and 10, 27-yard line. After a fake punt went awry for the Browns, Denver begins it in outstanding beginning field position. And Plummer to the end. Goes to the hands of Ron Smith, covered by Boyer and covered by Lehan. It's 2nd down and 10.
You know, Butch Davis deciding to fake that punt, put his defense in a bad position, obviously, but he's got a defense that's powered by a front 4 that has done some excellent work this year, especially near the red zone. They're one of the better defenses in the NFL in that area of the field. They've lost Courtney Brown this week to a torn bicep tendon. He's on injured reserve, but they still have plenty of power up front. That is the strength of this defense.
It is 2nd down and 10, 4-3-4 defense for the Browns from their 27 for Plummer. And here comes Rogers, and there goes Jake, and he throws to Sharp, caught at the 11-yard line. tackled by Bentley and by Davis. It's a gain of 16 and a first down for the Denver Broncos to the 11.
With this veteran group of receivers, especially the all-time leader at tight end receptions, Shannon Sharp, you get into a position, you read the defense. Look at Sharp, settles right in there between the linebackers. That is just good, smart receiving by Sharp, who leaves the field just limping a little bit. He takes shots in the legs at all you can see. He doesn't wear much in the way of leg pads.
From the 11-yard line, first down and 10. Portis and Drones in the backfield. And this is Portis, who is flag thrown. Look like Kennard Lang got a hold of his face mask.
Yeah, face mask in the better part of that side of his head.
Yeah. Flag is down. That was a gain of 4 by Clinton Portis.
I'm not sure if he doesn't get that face mask, if Clinton Portis doesn't flat score.
Personal foul, major face mask, defense number 54, half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
Now here's Kennard Lang, and he's going to have to face mask because onside, they blocked this play well, the Denver Broncos did, but their zone blocking that we talked about in the open, backside, created a huge hole. I'm not sure if Portis, like I said, wouldn't have just taken that to the house if Lang hadn't grabbed his helmet.
And again, they got Lehan at that cornerback taking the place of Anthony Henry, who will play but is injured with an ankle. It's first and goal at the 3, and Clinton Portis, oh, he was drilled as he came in by Brant Boyer. No gain. Second down goal.
Yeah, I mentioned about Cleveland's red zone defense, and it will be sorely tested. Both these defenses very good in the red zone for similar reasons. I think up front in the defensive lines, they are very, very good, if not some of the better groups in the league in the defensive line areas. So that powers your red zone defense.
Hape is in the game, along with Carswell as the 2 tight ends. And Drones is in the backfield with Portis. Second down and goal at the 3. Rod Smith on the fly. And a fake, and here comes Orpheus Roy, almost intercepted. Incomplete. Lehan had it. They were going for Drones, and a flag is down again.
Going to be on Orpheus Roy, I think, for that late little shot on Jake Plummer.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 96 for the defense. Extending the arms and pushing him to the ground after the ball is thrown. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Coming straight up the middle is Orpheus Roy, 99. He said Kennard Lang. Mike Carey did our referee, but it was Orpheus Roy, the defensive tackle, putting that late shot on Plummer. And it's not necessarily roughness, folks. They take care of the quarterback. If you push him to the ground unnecessarily, that is going to draw a flag. Every player is aware of that. That is not good, smart thinking by the Cleveland defense.
So it does give them a first down, first and goal at the 1. All this was set up on a fake punt that went bad for Cleveland. And the Broncos took over at the 38-yard line of the Browns. First and goal, and a touchdown run by Clinton Portis.
No fooling anybody here, just straight. We're better than you on the left side. Ben Hamilton gets on the linebacker. Ephraim Salam and Patrick Hape clear that left side of the defense, and it's an easy score for Portis.
High snap, but the extra point is up and good. Clinton Portis, 8 rushing touchdowns in a little over 2 games. He may be the best running back in the NFL, and he puts the Broncos on top.
Okay, folks, let's get this party started. Call Seattle. Get McGregor on the phone.
Calling him now.
Morning. Good morning.
Sir.
This is Scott McGregor. I'll be out of the office all day. Please leave a message.
That's not like McGregor.
McGregor's not there?
Great.
Excuse me, there's a Mr. McGregor here to see you.
With Southwest Airlines last-minute fares, you'll never pay more than $2.99 one way. So why would you fly with anyone else?
You are now free to move about the country.
Feeling trapped because you're attached to your wireless number? Take your number to a better place. Join T-Mobile, the fastest growing wireless company, and get 3-day weekends.
T-Mobile, get more.
We engineered a material behind the dash called quiet steel. Only the new Ford F-150 has it, which means it's the only truck to deliver this. The sound of quality. The sound of the quietest pickup, period. Only this truck earned the right to be the next F-150. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
CBS Tuesday, a Marine reported killed, just called his wife.
I'm not dead.
NCIS searches for the truth.
Got a bit of a mystery here.
You're going grave robbing tonight.
I wasn't expecting that. Someone wants us off this case.
He's talking about murder.
Don't miss an all-new episode of Navy NCIS, CBS Tuesday.
Clinton Portis with a 1-yard touchdown run following a failed fake punt by the Browns, where the Broncos took over at the Cleveland 38. The ensuing kickoff by Mike Orr. Looking into that bright Colorado sun, Andre King inside 5 and tripped up by Rutledge, and then finally belted by Nick Ferguson. It's a 29-yard return. They'll put him up at about the 28-yard line. Clinton Portis is as hot as any player right now in the league.
We didn't just give the new Ford F-150 more horsepower. We gave it the most low-end torque. Why did we push farther than anyone else? So you could do more than anyone else. Only this truck earned the right to be the next F-150. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
Meet Blue Cash from American Express.
Hey, Bob, you get a new haircut?
No.
Hey, Bob.
Hey.
Did you lose weight?
Nope.
What's different? He finally asked his doctor about Viagra. Find out if a free sample is right for you.
Did you just talk to the doctor?
Yep.
Ask your doctor and see the difference.
Bud Light salutes you, Mr. Pro Wrestling Wardrobe Designer. Pushing fashion to its limits, you pair leather boots with a thong. An understated way of saying, I'm going to rip your head off and look fabulous doing it. So make it a Bud Light, mister, because without you, a man crushing another man's head in his arms would just look silly.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Friendly, nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. The next Ford F-150, built Ford tough. And by Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
That was yesterday. John Bruno, our cameraman, shot that up at the Loveland ski area after the Portis touchdown and the kickoff, 1st and 10. Jamal White, massive hole, and brought down by Kenoy Kennedy as he gets a 1st down up near the 39, gain of 12.
The dog is in the pound. I tell you, if that little horse there would like to watch the game, I think you might have noticed Cleveland did a pretty good job on that last play and against that Denver defense. Nice job of sealing it backside. You let Jamal White start getting going, you're going to have a problem.
There's a 4-3-4 defense for the Broncos. Cleveland 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Blocked by White. Couch goes deep down to Northcutt with the catch on Lenny Walls, out of bounds at the 16-yard line.
What's been the missing ingredient for Butch Davis's football team? It has been the big play that was there last year through the pass. The offensive line hasn't given Couch much time in the past. They gave him excellent protection. Good blitz pickup by Jamel White. And Northcutt just cleanly against Walls just runs right by the young corner.
A 44-yard pickup, a career long by Northcutt. And now at the 11, 1st and 10 for the Cleveland Browns. And Jamel White brought by Stokes and Sanders. Good tackle made by Lenny Walls, who was just torched on that last play. Gain of 1 to the 10. Follow the playoff race with our exclusive projected seeds, brackets, and all the playoff clinching scenarios. Just click on playoff race at CBSSportsline.com. Second down 9 from the Bronco 15.
Now, we already mentioned how good the Broncos defense was in the red zone because of their defensive line. Against Couch in this offense, I'd expect them to bring the blitz. That, I mean, if you read it quick, you could get a good receiver open fast.
On the 15, second down and 9. Here comes the blitz. The quick throw dropped by the wide receiver Jackson. Flag is down at the 18.
Yeah, flag dropped and whistle blown right at the snap.
Play does not count. False start. Offense, number 88. 5-yard penalty remains. Second down.
So now back to 20, where it's second down and 14.
Doesn't really change the situation for Tim Couch in this offense. Offensive line, give him protection. You're going to have some holes down the field.
3-4 defense for the Broncos. The fake to White, end around Northcutt. He's got a blocker, and there goes the pass. And it is caught out of bounds. Incomplete. Andre Davis, 3rd and 14. Northcutt with the throw.
If you're a Browns fan, you cannot complain that Butch Davis and this football team is not doing everything they can to win. They faked a punt. They tried a reverse pass there with Dennis Northcutt. It was a Canadian 6 points.
That's right. And wide field would have made it
that
good.
extra wide field in Canada. Look at Northcutt throwing that thing left-handed. Good hang time. If he'd have laid that thing out a little bit flatter, I think he might have had himself a touchdown.
So now 3rd and 14 from the Bronco 20. A long pass to Northcutt set up this great Cleveland field position. Blitz again by Herndon, and it is dropped. Incomplete, far side, looking for Northcutt. Jimmy Spencer was covering. Incomplete pass. We're going to settle for 3.
Player coach Jimmy Spencer. The bunch formation. Spencer comes up and aggressively runs through the receiver and into the ball. The last player coach in this league was Dan Reeves down in Dallas.
New kicker is Brett Conway. A 38-yard try. He was waived by the Giants 3 weeks ago. 9 of 12 in kicking this season. And he's not going to make it. Wide right. So the Denver defense holds.
And that would be one of the reasons he's a former Giant, not converting on short ones.
Hi, I'm Rick Titus, the host of Drivers Talk Radio. Looks like your folks are having some trouble with your Odyssey.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do with these?
Who knows? Let me show you this new Ford Freestar. It is now possible to own a minivan that goes from a flat floor to a 3rd row seat to a tailgate bench and never have to remove the head restraints.
That is so cool. What's next?
You know what? I'm glad you asked. Why don't you hop on in? Let's start with safety.
The all-new Ford Freestar. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
Well, what's your brother into?
Well, growing up, if it was cool, he had it.
Hey, Dweebs, check it out.
What is it?
A VCR with remote.
Mint.
Psych.
Well, DVDs are cool. So are video games. We also have the latest music. Or classic hits.
Mint.
Thousands of possibilities. Get yours.
Best Buy. Introducing the Wild Mountain Combos from Wendy's. A hot, smoky Southwestern pepper sauce, Colby Jack, and bacon on a juicy hamburger or on Wendy's spicy chicken filet. Now that's something to remember. Wendy's, it's better here.
If staying in the game is important to you, ask your doctor about new Levitra. Make this the play that matters. Take action. And ask your doctor if a free sample is right for you. Now's the time to ask about new Levitra.
CBS Thursday, they had the perfect marriage. But when her husband disappears...
Oh, God.
She'll discover...
His wife's 7 months pregnant and he's cruising gay boys?
She never really knew him at all.
It's probably something he's been struggling with for a long time.
Luke is not gay.
Every second counts. All new Without a Trace. Thursday after CSI.
Missed field goal 38 yards moments ago by new Cleveland kicker Brett Conway. So they take over, does Jake Plummer and his offense from the 28. First down and 10. It's Ashley Lee on the move. Portis in the backfield has got a touchdown run today. Gets away from Boyle and is brought down by Roosevelt Williams. Gain of 4, and it's up to the 32.
Well, so far it's been a few miscues for the Cleveland Browns. The fake punt that turned into an incomplete pass, trying the shovel. The face mask that set the Broncos up even closer to the goal line. The unnecessary roughness there on Orpheus Roy that moved it to the 1, and then a missed field goal by Brett Conway. But I said it earlier on the Cleveland possession, they have pulled out the stops. If they don't win this game, it won't be for lack of trying or lack of bringing everything they brought with them.
32-yard line, second down and 6. Lee on the fly, and Portis again. Finding a gap, Andre Davis along with Gerard Warren bring him down. Gain of 7, and he should have a first down up near the 39-yard line.
You talk about this running back Clinton Portis and his power and his speed, but most of it, to me, is the offensive line. And last week, his 5 touchdowns were highlighted, Kevin, by the speed of Clinton Portis. Now, he's not quite that fast. That might be sped up a little bit, but you'd be hard-pressed to find defenders in Kansas City to say that heavyweight running champion isn't pretty doggone quick.
Hape in the backfield. First down and 10, 39-yard line. As the tight end, Plummer looking for anyone with pretty good time and being chased by Andre Davis and throws out of bounds. Looking for Portis, incomplete. Second down.
He wasn't looking for time. He was looking for anybody in a friendly color, Kevin. He was getting such good protection after fumbling that snap. None of the Cleveland Browns were getting anywhere close to Plummer, and Shannon Sharp and the rest of the receivers were in their scramble drill, but a nice job by the Cleveland defense in adjusting.
The injury we saw in the opening kickoff of the game to linebacker Sean Thompson, sprained ankle, questionable return. Second down 10, 39-yard line of Denver. Broncos are 2-2 at home over the last 4 games. This will be their final home game of the season. Eddie McCaffrey grabbed and finally hit by a couple, and then eventually brought down by Anthony Henry, who did not start today. Gain of 9, close to a first down near the 48.
You've had receivers in this offense, especially Eddie McCaffrey, who's made a career out of the shallow cross. Denver runs this play and has run it with Eddie McCaffrey for the last several years. You see his numbers in the Denver rank among receivers for reception yards and touchdowns. And is this Ed McCaffrey's last game as a Bronco at home? Is this Shannon Sharp's last game at home for the Denver Broncos? I mean, there's quite a few storylines going on for some great history for the Denver receivers.
Hape in the backfield, third down long 1, 49-yard line. Clinton Portis grabbed by Andre Davis and has the first down, submarining for 2 to the 50-yard line.
Yeah, I think what people don't understand so much about Portis, and we had a little fun there speeding up the tape a bit, showing how quick he is, and he is incredibly fast. I believe the key to him, besides the offensive line, is his strength. He's so tough. 2 weeks ago, we did that Oakland-Denver game. He was handing out punishment to the Raider defenders. It was really a growing up, maturing process for Clinton Portis. A lot of the players on that offense, Rod Smith and Shannon Sharp, think he really became a player that day.
Sharp and Carswell are in. First and 10, 50-yard line, Portis. Flag is down. Carswell with the block, and tackle made by Bentley across the way at about the 44-yard line. And as it stands now, a gain of about 6 or 7 yards.
It's hard to say, but that's an average gain for Clinton Portis.
It is. He's averaging 6 a carry.
Yeah, when you're averaging 5.8 a carry, a little offsides against the Browns.
Browns have been penalized 3 times already in this game.
Offside, defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty, first down, 5 yards to go.
And Kevin, there's been a big story this week about how Butch Davis, the former coach at University of Miami, passed on one of his running backs, Clinton Portis, in the draft. Well, you know what? A lot of people passed on Portis. Here's how he does against some of the first rounders. And, obviously Portis has done great, but Portis didn't go to the second round. He's got a lot of things to prove to a lot of people, and he's kept that chip on his shoulder for the better part of the last 2 years.
Drones in the backfield, 1st and 5, 45 to fake to Portis. Here comes Plummer dumping off to Shannon Sharp. Works a couple tackles along the way, then he's finally hit and brought down by Bentley, hit by Griffith. Flag is down about the 41-yard line, gain of 12. And this penalty is a tripping,
yeah.
And it's against the Denver Broncos.
Was it Shannon Sharp? He'll get penalized for tripping. He looked like he was tripping for 20 yards. It was probably against Ephraim Salam. The offensive tackle was out there in front of him. A little whip around by his legs. Actually, I think he could have called him for a leg whip.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, number 74 of the offense. A leg whip, 15-yard penalty, remains first down.
Well, you know, a leg whip is when you throw a cut block and you keep moving your legs around this way. Watch Salam's legs. He tries to throw the cut block, then the left leg comes around and whips into the legs of the linebacker. Brant Boyer, 52, was the victim of the leg whip. Something this offensive line is rather notorious for. I actually played on an offensive line that people thought we did a little bit of that.
No.
Hey,
49ers.
I don't care about technique. Show me all those Super Bowls the Denver Broncos have run since his offensive line's been together.
1st and 15 from the 45. The fake and Plummer downfield, leaping catch, Rod Smith. And he was brought down on the play by Roosevelt Williams. 18-yard gain and a first down to the Cleveland 37.
You know, these Denver Broncos fans here have watched the maturity level rise week by week of Jake Plummer. He's got receivers like Rod Smith working against Williams in only his 3rd start as a pro. Williams is where he's supposed to be, but Plummer throws a picture-perfect pass to Rod Smith, and you have to be impressed by what Plummer has achieved and how much more potential he has to fulfill.
You know, Mike Shanahan loves him. 37-yard line, 1st and 10. McCaffrey on the move, and Portis wrapped up. They had a chance to breathe on the play as they came from the side. Minimal gain. About a half yard. CBS Monday is all new, starting with Yes Dear. Still standing. Then it's Everybody Loves Raymond and the new hit comedy 2.5 Men, followed by CSI Miami. Plus an all-new Late Show with David Letterman. Monday here on CBS, America's most watched network.
Yeah, something to look for here, Kevin, is pay attention to the safeties of Cleveland. If Clinton Portis keeps running the ball fairly successfully, they have to cheat Little or Griffith into the box. That means a big play downfield passing.
4-3-4 defense for the Browns. 2nd down 10, 9th play of the drive. And Plummer outside, caught by Sharp. Put out of bounds by Roosevelt Williams at about the 28-yard line. It's a gain of 9.
Yeah, I talk about Jake Plummer's improvement. It's really showed up in his rating. Look at that, plus 26 over his rating last year in Arizona. No coincidence there. Look at those quarterbacks, though. Minnesota, Tennessee, Denver, Cincinnati, Kitna, another strong performance today for the Bengals. All probable playoff teams getting a bigger boost from already pretty good quarterbacks.
That's of all quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, that's all quarterbacks rating from 2002 to 2003.
3rd down 1. Browns a stick with their same base defense, and they blow that dead as it was on the way to Clinton Portis.
Ball start. Offense, number 89. 5 yards penalty. Remains 3rd down.
You know, Kevin, that's a play I haven't seen out of Mike Shanahan's offense since the Terrell Davis days. That just naked pitch to the weak side. Just a quick twitch there by Carswell, number 89, the right tight end, but just a quick naked pitch to the running back saying, look, you're one-on-one with the DB, beat him.
3rd down 6 from the Cleveland 33. Lee is on the move. Portis and Drones in the backfield, and Plummer gets it off to Drones, who bobbles it. He's playing with a high ankle sprain today. The coverage was by Bentley. It's incomplete. And they will bring on Jason Elam and try a pretty sizable field goal here. Roy getting up A little gingerly on that defensive line for the Browns.
Well, not having an Orpheus Roy will affect the inside push on this punt block. You're going with a guy like Jason Elam. Season long, you see there 51, but here in Mile High is where he set that, or tied that NFL record. He gets lots of leg. The question is accuracy.
Mike Orr will hold. Leach with the snap. And from 51 yards away, he drills it home and extends the Denver Bronco lead 10-0. 51-yard field goal that ties a season long by one of the most reliable in the business, Jason Elam.
Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Absolutely.
He helped me pick this up.
This holiday, how can you possibly thank the woman who always believed in you? A Kay Jewelers 3-stone diamond necklace would be a great start. And you can be assured of two things. First, that every Kay diamond is hand-selected for exceptional beauty. And second, that she'll absolutely love it.
Can I give you folks a lift?
Every kiss begins with K.
What's that?
The wireless bill.
Frustrated with your high wireless bill? Take your number to a better place. Switch to T-Mobile, the fastest growing wireless company. And now, get T-Mobile 3-day weekends.
T-Mobile. Get more.
Can't taste my beer. I can't taste my beer. I can't taste my beer.
I can't taste my beer!
I can't taste my beer.
I can't taste my beer! I can't taste my beer!
Next time, try the light beer that actually tastes like beer. Great tasting, less filling, Miller Lite. Good call.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Be you. Nothing's better. Dr. Pepper. And by T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service.
Denver has had the ball twice. They've scored both times on a Portis 1-yard touchdown run and moments ago, a 51-yard Jason Elam field goal.
We saw a picture a little while ago there in the bumper of Thunder, the mascot here in Denver. I bet that horse's tongue was hanging out when Clinton Portis got done with those 5 touchdown runs last week.
Against Kansas City in 218 yards. This is going to drive Andre King to a knee and a touchback to the 20-yard line for the Cleveland Browns. Browns have missed a field goal and they tried a fake punt which backfired. That's when Denver went in for 3. Denver in second place in the AFC West.
What you seeing didn't start with LL today. Take it from me. Run DMC paved the way with Jam Master J. The KINGs. Run D and Dr. Pepper. That's originality. The taste of Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper. The taste of originality. Salutes individuality. Individual. Gives life personality. Be you. Do what you do. Be you. Be you. Nothing better than Dr. Pepper. Run DMC and Jam. Dr. Pepper.
Hey, DVDs. What did you get?
CDs.
Video games. Oh, I wanted that one too. That's such a good one.
Store opens in 20 minutes, Pete. Focus.
Right.
Okay.
All the new stuff. Stop by Circuit City every Tuesday and save on the hottest new releases. Like Seabiscuit and Freaky Friday, just $15.99 each. Save on great gifts and dash through your list today at Circuit City. We're with you.
Only one truck has the strongest, toughest frame of any full-size pickup. That truck is the new Ford F-150. It has a fully boxed frame with crossbars welded through the side rails, all of which gives you the highest payload. Only this truck earned the right to be the next F-150. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
Monday on an all-new Late Show, Dave welcomes Lord of the Rings star Liv Tyler, plus music from Alicia Keys. And Tuesday, don't miss the big Survivor winner. Dave's all new all this week.
Cleveland lost on Monday night to St. Louis last week. Denver crushing Kansas City. That's what leads up to today. The Browns come in 4-9, Denver 8-5 from the 20-yard line.
Lee Suggs, 44 at halfback.
He is a rookie. And on 1st and 10, Suggs gets his 6th NFL carry, turns the corner, and then is hit out of bounds by Nick Ferguson after a gain of 17 yards up to the 37-yard line. Monday on CBS. This kidnapping was supposed to be a game, but somebody wound up dead. Now CSI must find the missing player. Don't miss an all-new CSI Miami. That's Monday on CBS.
You got a little flavor there of why they're so excited about Lee Suggs in Cleveland. That speed, that quick, that suddenness with which he can run the ball.
He's a 4th-round pick out of Virginia Tech, 37-yard line. It's 1st and 10. Suggs remains in the backfield. And he's brought down by Sprague, gain of 3. He was projected to be a much higher pick, than he hurt his shoulder.
Well, he tore his rotator cuff in the bowl game with Vatech in San Francisco. The Sourdough Classic or some bowl game in San Francisco.
Some bread game.
But he had to have it operated on this May. Missed an awful lot, been rehabbing. But he is a legitimate 1st-round draft pick type guy with a solid background family-wise. Dad's a Baptist minister. An excellent running back. You'll hear some noise out of him the next few years.
5 in the secondary for Denver. It's Suggs again. And he's cracked into by Al Wilson on 2nd down and 7. He picks up 6. And he's up to the 45-yard line of the Cleveland Browns.
Man, it's what this running game needs. It needs a little kick. Jamel White, nice job going over 100 last week, but get a young guy like Suggs in there to go along with Jamel White, and you can get some stuff working.
Clinton Portis with the 1-yard touchdown run. Elam with a 51-yard field goal. Some miscues early for the Cleveland Browns, who trail Denver 10-0. We'll return to Invesco Field right after this message.
I think you should see this.
It's just a kid. Homo habilis was the first to use tools.
This is a G chord. He's learning, absorbing. He's getting smarter every day.
A player who makes a team great is more valuable than a great player.
We've always watched the stars. If you look at the sky, you can see the beginning of time.
Collecting data is only the first step toward wisdom, but sharing data is the first step toward community.
Chaos theory.
Everything's about timing, kid.
Poetry.
Aeronautics.
Plumbing. What he learns, we all learn. What he knows, we all benefit from.
Faster, better, cheaper.
Speak your mind. Don't back down.
Does he have a name?
His name is Linux.
Big old Michael Strahan! You ain't got nothing! How about them Cowboys?
Offensive behavior. Another side effect of hunger. Stop hunger from stopping you. Grab a Snickers. Peanuts, caramel, and chocolate. Hungry? Grab a Snickers.
If men are so insensitive, why do they need 9 personal comfort settings? Spectra from Norelco. Ultra close, ultra comfortable. Guaranteed.
It began with 16. Now it's down to 4. Who will be the ultimate survivor? Dara, Sassy Sandra,
I can get it out too!
Lil, or Survivor's most notorious liar, Johnny Rotten?
I'm the king of men and they're women.
He's an ass.
The Survivor season finale and live reunion show tonight after 60 Minutes.
We begin the second quarter from Denver with Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan, 3rd down and 1 for the Cleveland Browns at their own 46-yard line. A Clinton Portis 1-yard touchdown run, the big play so far. Jamel White back in the backfield for Tim Couch. 5 in the secondary for the Denver Broncos. Jamel White cracked by Wilson. Wilson hit by Spragan. No gain on the play. Cleveland's got a punt.
Yeah, that's the specialty of Al Wilson. Middle linebacker out of the University of Tennessee. He can flat bring it, and if you're going to break backside, you know you're going to have 56 right in your grill. Trying to make that cut through that backside B gap. Sounds like a good idea, except for the fact that the defensive responsibility and being in the right place is, I think, the forte of this Denver defense.
Cleveland tried to fake the last time they punted. Gardocki again in formation for the second time today. Delpha O'Neal out of Cal. That's a go into the end zone. 55-yard punt. And the Broncos will take over when we come back.
The 7-passenger, electronic 4-wheel drive Acura MDX. Power and safety, living in perfect harmony.
Just stop. That's not on anybody's list.
Hectic holiday shopping can wear you down, so Staples makes it simple with digital and technology gifts that are easy to buy. And right now, Staples.com orders are delivered free. Holiday gifts at Staples. That was easy.
We ride together. We die together. Bad boys for life.
Bad Boys 2. Own it now on DVD.
The Braun Synchro cuts more efficiently because it's the first shaver with a 4-way moving head. And its automatic self-cleaning system leaves your shaver so clean it feels like new every day. Braun Synchro. We challenge you to find a better dry shaver.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The NFL is also on Saturday. 2 of the top teams battle it out when Kansas City drives into Minnesota next Saturday on CBS.
Doug's wife is helping out at his office.
If it's cool with you.
All new King of Queens, CBS Wednesday.
The Denver Broncos are the only team in the NFL ranked in the top 7 in both offense and defense, and they're playing like it today. We're in the second quarter. They're shutting out Cleveland 10-0.
And despite the rankings, they are fighting for their lives. They need to find a way to get at least 2 more wins to get to the 10-win level.
Carswell and Sharp are the 2 tight ends. 4-3-4 defense for the Browns. 20-yard line, 1st and 10 in play action. Jake Plummer, wide open Portis. Good beat on it across the way is Roosevelt Williams, the ex-Bronco for a couple weeks earlier this season. It's a gain of 6 to the 26. And this week on NFL.com, Phil Simms says there are 2 teams you don't want to face in the playoffs, the Broncos and Baltimore. See why on NFL.com or at NFL on AOL. You've been on that Baltimore bandwagon for about 2 months now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, strong for the last month. I think Brian Billick has really got something special going with that leadership he's got in Baltimore.
2nd down, 4, 26-yard line. Hape in the backfield with Portis. With the handoff and brought down by Andre Davis. About a 1, maybe a 2-yard gain at the most. It'll be 3rd and a couple.
Well, Andre Davis is middle linebacker. Is kind of one of those stealth players. Butch Davis took a lot of heat this year about replacing all his linebackers at the beginning of the season, but one of the great highlights of the season for this organization has been the play of Andre Davis in the middle. It's not a stretch to say the level he's at or has played at this year is a Pro Bowl level. And when your team's 4-9 and you're not playing particularly well in general as a football team, you don't get very many Pro Bowlers. But at this rate, Andre Davis will be making a trip to Hawaii soon.
Hape in the backfield. 4 defensive backs for the Browns. It's Clinton Portis who gets a block from Hape. He's brought down by Andre Davis on that 3rd and 1. He picks up 6. He gets a first down to the 34.
Normally you'd say, let's concentrate on the blocking. I want to concentrate on something different. I want to concentrate on something you won't see or you can't see is air. Look at the air right back here and how quickly Clinton Portis gets through the defensive line. Nice block by Friedman onside, working against Kennard. And just Clinton Portis is into the free air within about 2 heartbeats. And suddenly the safety's got the one shot on him, and he can't bring him down clean.
New receiver, the 3rd receiver in the game right now, Charlie Adams. 1st and 10 from the 34. The Lee on the move. Here comes Portis. Grabbed by Rodgers and brought down back at the 30-yard line. A loss of about 4. And Rodgers shooting the gap and bringing him down. He's out of Alabama State.
Well, Tyrone Rodgers and Word, number 90, are in here really for Courtney Brown, who tore his bicep tendon. I mentioned that earlier, is now on injured reserve. Look at the job coming underneath Matt Lepsis. That is good quickness by Tyrone Rodgers, and that is also good persistence, being able to tackle a guy like Clinton Portis, just basically getting a foot in a sock.
This is the number 10 defense in the NFL.
And a lot of it's because of the front 4 and a linebacker like Andre Davis.
2nd and 14. There goes Adams on the fly. One of 4 Denver receivers deployed by Plummer. And the pass is caught by Sharp. Brought down by Davis after spinning off Boyer. He's up to the 43, picks up 13 yards and about a yard shy of a first down.
Well, that's 2 receptions so far for Sharp, and both are the same kind of catches. Jake Plummer goes back. Sharp reads the defense. He settles between the linebackers, and Plummer's able to get him the ball. That is why Shannon Sharp is approaching 10,000 yards as a receiver. That's why Shannon Sharp's caught more passes than other tight ends. He knows exactly how to manipulate a defense.
Anderson in the backfield, 4-3-4 defense for Cleveland. About a yard. And it looks like Anderson submarines for the first down. Anderson's missed the last 4 games with a league substance abuse suspension. He's back right now. He had been gone, and he said it was some secondhand smoke. Nonetheless, suspended for 4 games, back today for the first time.
And I honestly, of all the players that stuff like that has happened to in this league and other leagues and other sports, I think Mike Anderson might have done something that's very unique these days. He took responsibility for his actions, said he was wrong, said, look, I'm disappointed a lot of people, including my former Marine Corps mates. I was wrong. I'll take my suspension.
46-yard line, 1st and 10 with great time for Plummer. Caught by Ron Smith and dropped incomplete. He was drilled by Roosevelt Williams across the way. Incomplete pass.
Well, you talked about them being the 10th ranked defense. We've talked about all the injuries. The consistent level of play by this defense is not only a credit to the individuals, it's also a credit to Butch Davis and the style of defense and the style of football he asks these Browns to play.
2nd down and 10. With the Denver win last week and a Miami loss, Denver holding on to the final wild card spot. They control their own destiny. 2nd and 10, 8th play of the drive, 45-yard line. Ready on the move, Portis in the backfield and 2 tight ends, including Sharp. And a block by Salah and Sharp and Ron Smith as Portis wheels close to a first down, picking up 9 into Cleveland territory inside their 45.
We got a flag down on the field. Watch Sharp up here top of the screen and the work he does.
Offense number 84. It's a 10-yard penalty.
Salam gets a nice block. Sharp gets a nice block. I didn't see a hold there by Sharp. You know, and I talked about how good he is as a receiver. He might be doing the best job he's done as a professional here this season as a blocker. And one of the first people to point that out is Clinton Portis. Talking about his offensive line, he sort of considers Shannon Sharp just another one of his guys up front as blockers.
Griffith made that tackle for the Cleveland Browns. He's having an outstanding year at the cornerback for Cleveland. So back to the 38-yard line with the penalty in tow. 2nd down, 13. 3 receivers. Lee, Smith, and Adams. They got Anderson in the backfield. Plummer dumps it off Mike Anderson. There's a block by Hamilton and by Nalen, and then they converge, and Andre Davis has run 3 Browns around him after a gain 7 to the 45. We talked to Plummer yesterday, and he seems about as confident, Randy, as we have ever talked to him.
Well, you get a guy that has struggled like he did in Phoenix, sort of being the, I don't know, the hood ornament that was getting a lot of bugs on it. Let's put it that way. He wasn't doing well, and now he's surrounded with a lot of positive feedback, a lot of positive leadership, and a lot of excellent talent. And he's able to really draw more out of himself because of the situation he's in here in Denver.
4 defensive backs, 3rd and 11, and Plummer hitting brought down Gerard Warren. Back at the 41, the first Cleveland sack, and for Warren, it is his 3rd sack of the season that forces a Denver punt.
Right there is Ben Hamilton, the left guard. Watch Warren, 94, working against him, come right through his shoulder. See that rip move? That left arm is ripped right up through the armpit of the guard, turned his shoulders, power's gone. That's an easy sack and a nice move.
Mike Orr to punt for the first time today. Leach with the long snap, which is low. They get it away. Northcutt is back, 21-yard line for Cleveland, and hit by Scott Turner. Helped by Keith Burns. Turner, a good one on special teams.
Flag.
Flag has been thrown on the play. It was a 40-yard punt with a 10-yard return.
It's going to be against Denver for blocking out of bounds.
We told you before that Denver is in the 6th and final AFC wild card playoff slot. The Browns have officially been eliminated from the postseason.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the kicking team, number 25. The 15-yard penalty. The receiving team keeps the ball. First down. Timeout.
Nick Ferguson.
He was working against Andre King, and it was right in front of Mike Shanahan.
Today we're going to test a tractor beam from Ratchet & Clank going commando. Oh, nice, dude. Nice job. Nice job.
No, turn that thing off! No, turn it off!
Sweet.
The tractor beam, one of 51 weapons and gadgets not fit for this world. Rated T for teen.
Be there first. Where no sports sedan has been before. The all-new 270 horsepower Acura TL. A higher form of performance.
Norelco Advantage with gel prevents nicks and cuts. Oh, how we'll miss them. Advantage from Norelco. Ultra close, ultra comfortable. Guaranteed.
I know a little something about making good moves.
Make your move. Talk to your doctor about Viagra today.
To learn more, race over to Viagra.com.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Campbell's Chunky Soup. Dinner that fills you up right. Make it Campbell's instead. Norelco, ultra close, ultra comfortable, guaranteed. And by PlayStation 2.
It's an area about 20 minutes west of here in Idaho Springs called Clear Creek. After the Denver punt, 1st and 10, Couch slings a pass downfield, which is caught. 28-yard line, grabbed by Northcutt. He was working on Herndon. 27-yard pickup earlier in the game. Northcutt torched Lenny Walls. Now he gets the other cornerback on this play.
And the common element in both these is excellent protection by the Cleveland offensive line. Very precise route and a picture-perfect pass by Tim Couch. No one's ever contested that Couch can't sling the heck out of the ball when he gets time. The reason he hasn't done that well the last couple of years, he hasn't had the time.
Denver in a 4-3-4, 29-yard line for the Browns. Denver territory, 1st and 10. This is Jamel White trying to outrace Sykes. He shoves him out of bounds at about the 24-yard line. And a gain of 6. Tonight on CBS, it's the most anticipated Survivor finale yet. 4 castaways, 3 tribunal councils, 2 unforgettable hours, only 1 ultimate survivor. Don't miss the Survivor season finale and live reunion show tonight, 8/7 Central on CBS.
Winner gets $1 million, Kevin.
How about that?
One of those 4 people walks off that island with $1 million.
23-yard line, second down 4. They got Heinrich and White in the backfield. Crab is White by Ferguson, who just got that penalty on him. And a gain of 2 to the 21. The Patriots, the Chiefs, the Colts all winning today. All have clinched or clinched last week a playoff slot.
And you see Denver's where it is, and Baltimore is leading Oakland out. Oakland's leading Baltimore out there in Oakland, and Miami and Denver are sort of joined at the hip there at 8-5, and Miami plays Philadelphia tomorrow night.
3rd and 2, Denver 21. Heinrich in the backfield with White. Andre Davis in motion. Morgan the other receiver. Play action by Couch. Here comes Price. There goes Couch, running for his life and throws it away. Trevor Price made that work, and good coverage in the secondary.
Good coverage, and it just took too long to develop. You know, you go against this Denver defense, you're very rarely, mentioned earlier how disciplined they are, and they got a player like Trevor Price who does an excellent job in penetrating. And when you're getting a chance to work against a tight end, you ought to penetrate extremely well, because Darnell Sanders is not the best pass blocker the Cleveland Browns have.
With Phil Dawson injured and out for the year, Brett Conway, who has already missed 1 today from 38, will try another from 38. This one looks picture perfect, and the shutout is gone. And the Cleveland Browns are on the board. Officially now they call it a 39-yard field goal, so Couch doesn't come up empty-handed. Brett Conway puts the Browns on the board, and the lead of Denver is down to a touchdown.
Hi, Tom. I know it's your first day, but we could really use your help.
You got it.
Thanks. We're just in a bit of a jam. All this has to get out today.
Yeah, I don't do shipping.
Oh, no. It's very easy. We use FedEx.com. Anybody can do it.
You don't understand. I have an MBA.
Oh, you have an MBA. In that case, I'll have to show you how to do it.
FedEx.com makes shipping so fast and easy, even an MBA can do it. Relax, it's FedEx.
Hey, how are you guys?
We have no idea what to get our son.
How about a PlayStation?
Yeah, I think he's too old for a jungle gym.
You know, maybe just get him a Best Buy gift card.
The Best Buy gift card. Thousands of possibilities. Get yours.
Meet Blue Cash from American Express.
Rich Eisen, behind the scenes, only on the NFL Network.
There it is, a win for the ages.
A tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS Sports.
Cleveland just got on the board on a Conway 39-yard field goal. Denver has scored on a Portis 1-yard touchdown run and a 51-yarder by Elam. And the ensuing kickoff by Brett Conway, signed this week off the street. Delta O'Neal will leave it in the end zone. Touchback to the 20.
If you've learned anything about the Cleveland Browns, folks, you ought to know by now they will not just go away. They're hanging in.
Come away. Come away to Neverland.
This Christmas,
There are mermaids, Indians, pirates.
escape to a place bring me those children, where anything is possible.
Brace yourselves, lads.
Oh no. Peter Pan, rated PG. At theaters Christmas Day.
CBS Monday on Yes Dear, what should you give your boss for the holidays?
I loaned her to Savitsky for the night.
Hey, can I get her for the night?
Get out.
Then it's an all-new Still Standing Christmas.
Wasn't that exciting, cutting down our own tree? Especially when that guy started chasing us out of his yard.
And Ray uncovers the ghost of Christmas presents past.
Would you like a popcorn popper?
Then Charlie's brother gets a whole new look for the holidays.
That's it. We need a gay guy.
2.5 Men on an all-new CBS Very Merry Monday. And later, Liv Tyler joins Dave on an all-new Late Show.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Peter Pan. This Christmas, discover the timeless story as you've never seen it before. Starts Christmas Day. And by Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Cold, down, easy.
Monday and an all-new Late Show. Dave welcomes Lord of the Rings star Liv Tyler, plus music from Alicia Keys. And Tuesday, by the way, Alicia Keys has the #1 album in the country. Tuesday, don't miss the winner of Survivor. Dave's all new all this week on CBS.
Aren't you just a font of knowledge?
Just throwing it out there, seeing if it sticks. And it did, obviously it did. After the field goal by Cleveland, the ensuing kickoff, touchback to the 21st and 10 for Plummer. 2 tight ends, including Sharp and Carswell. Portis in the backfield, and play action by Plummer. Outside, caught by Sharp, out of bounds. Former Pro Bowler Griffith knocked him out. 15-yard gain, 34-yard line.
I talked earlier about how good the offensive line is for Denver. Rick Dennison, the offensive line coach. See where he is all the way at the top now? Here's Shanahan down here. You figure what, they don't like each other, they don't get along. No, offensive line coaches hang in different spots. And for Rick Dennison, you hang back all the way there so you get that angle looking back and you can see how the blocking is going. If you get the flat angle right down the line of scrimmage, you can't see the lanes, you can't see the blocking responsibilities.
4-3-4 defense for the Browns. First down for the Broncos. Their own 34. The Lee in motion. Portis the ball. And the secondary stopped by Earl Little. Hit also by Bentley. Gain of 7. Second down and 3. 43-yard line.
And I talked about the zone blocking at the beginning of this game and how excellent the offensive line is. I'm not going to draw. Just watch the sort of athletic ballet up front between these offensive linemen. They run by some linemen. They get in the second level on the linebackers. And Mike Shanahan's the first one to point out that, you know, Alex Gibbs is the assistant head coach here who really established the offensive line. But Rick Dennison has done a huge job the last couple of years since Gibbs sort of stepped back in establishing and reestablishing the quality of this line.
Second and 3, 42, Portis, and he's brought down by Lang. Basically no gain on the play. Also, this is the lightest offensive line in the NFL, an average of about 290 pounds per guy.
And the 2 things to concentrate on there, look at the sacks allowed. It's dropped down 24 sacks, but this is the #1 rushing team in the NFL, and the team right behind them is Baltimore. And Jim Coletto, their offensive line coach, basically took Alex Gibbs' blocking tapes and uses their blocking techniques and their run blocking scheme in Baltimore. So that's Alex Gibbs there with the beanie. And, you know, these guys know their game, and when it works that good, people copy it.
3rd and 3, 42. Adams, one of 3 Denver receivers for Plummer, who throws to the lead. First down, captured by Earl Little. Into Cleveland territory, 46. A quick strike for 13 yards.
You know, Ashley Lee has struggled this year. Everybody figured this would be the real standout explosion year for Ashley Lee. He's had a hard time catching balls on occasion, has really been sort of stifled, but his biggest fan is probably Jake Plummer. And Jake said the other day in practice he made one of the most beautiful catches he's ever seen anybody make, game or practice. He says maybe that's the one that'll ignite him and get him going for this season.
2 tight ends, Cleveland 45, Plummer 1st and 10. More play action by Jake, a block from Salam. He's got time, and Portis watches it ricochet off his shoulder pad, incomplete. They've had 3 passes dropped at the Broncos today. Second down and 10. Coming up the next show, halftime report, and what a day in the NFL. St. Louis hanging on over Seattle, Cincinnati hanging on over San Francisco. Jim, Dan, Dion, and Boomer with scores. Highlights coming up from New York next on the Nextel halftime report. Denver's right now in the playoffs, #6, the 6th and final AFC position.
Can't say enough about the job the Cleveland defense has done, though, of stifling this Denver running game on first down. 1.8 yards coming off a team that's averaging 5.2 on first down coming into this game.
Timeout taken. They had Portis wide. They had a tight end wide as a receiver, and Denver brings their first timeout late in the second quarter.
I would have gone vanilla with that sweater.
Ice cream, $3.
I think I would have parked a little closer.
Gas, $22.
Whoa. I think.
Haircut, $30.
What? I would have looked out for the water main. Well, that's just me.
Monday morning quarterbacks, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
I would have double bagged it.
Capacity crowd in Vesco Field. About 60 degrees, if you can believe that, here in Denver this afternoon.
The only thing better than today is the day they had last week. When Portis and company ran wild on the Kansas City Chiefs, it was nearly 70 degrees. And this offense and this football team is as hot as the weather. And they need to be. They dug themselves a hole. They're 8-5. They need to win at least 10 games, Mike Shanahan has told his football team. And they have 2 really tough road games coming up here in the next 2 weeks.
Portis touchdown run the difference in the game. Second down 10 after the Denver timeout. 46-yard line of Cleveland. 8th in the backfield at Portis. Plummer winding up and looking long down the side for Lee. Stride for stride. Flag is thrown. Stride for stride with Lee was Lehan.
I'm not sure if you didn't get an arm bar there defensively by Lehan. When you say an arm bar, it's when that inside arm is just put and stuck out in front of the receiver so he can't run by you. Now watch down the field. This is what the official, this is almost the exact same angle. You see that right arm just sort of into the waist, but if you're
There's no foul for defensive pass interference. All of the action is legal. 3rd down.
Yeah, I don't think that was so much an uncatchable ball as because the head was sort of turned back at the same time that arm was feeling. You know, they call it's arm barring if you're not looking back, but if you're kind of like just feeling to make sure he's still there. Just, you know, he hasn't run away down out of bounds and sat down and got away from you.
It was the right call. They made the right call.
Oh, absolutely.
So they bring it back. 3rd down and 10. Portis today 42 yards on 15 carries. Plummer 10 of 16 throwing.
But this is the same defense, gave up 295 yards to Jamal Lewis, and on 22 of those carries, they limited him to about 2.5 yards a carry. The other 5 carries he had over 200 yards.
5 in the secondary for Cleveland. Adams in motion. 3rd down 10 near the 45. Here comes Andre Davis. Plummer throws on the fly and uncatchable pass to Sharp. Incomplete. 4th down, and Denver is going to punt.
What a nice job by Andre Davis. You know, you hear the term, his hot breath behind him chasing. I mean, literally, Jake Plummer had to feel the hot breath of Andre Davis right on his heels. He didn't hit the ball. He really didn't hit Jake Plummer. But that's where you have that physical presence that affects the throw, and I think it definitely affected Jake Plummer on that one.
Mike Orr will boot this to Dennis Northcutt, who is back at about the 10. The wind is in the Denver punter's face. And back it is picked up and it's almost blocked on the play by Jamison. And fair caught back at the 12-yard line. Just that close. Jamison almost got a hand on it.
And Denver got away big time with a hold inside, or that would have been blocked.
Well, next Saturday, CBS Sports puts on a battle of perennial powers with the Kentucky Wildcats taking on the Indiana Hoosiers. That's next Saturday, noon Eastern, on CBS, home of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship.
Watch inside. Sykes, 57.
You called it, Randy.
Yeah, he's pulling back, and you know, Konoe Kennedy actually just grabs the jersey and turns. Otherwise, it's a block punt.
4-3-4 base defense for the Broncos. 12-yard line. Cleveland 1st and 10. Jamel White brought down by former Brown Darius Holland. Gain of 1. 2nd down and 9. Cleveland, by the way, all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Denver's got 2.
See, this is the situation when things don't go well for you as a football team, backed up like this is where you make mistakes. Very critical for Tim Couch to have great ball maintenance.
5 in the secondary, 2 linebackers, 4 in the line, 2nd down, 9. Couch throwing, and it is caught. Spencer's got Quincy Morgan at the 26. Gain of 12. Cleveland first down.
A perfect job by Morgan of using his body, working against the player coach Jimmy Spencer. Morgan got in between Spencer and the quarterback. There was nowhere that Spencer could go except for straight through his body. That was excellent wide receiver work by Morgan.
So we're at the 2-minute warning. Cleveland is trying to get some breathing space. A Clinton Portis 1-yard touchdown run has been the difference so far.
All right, here we go. On 3. 1.
The CR-V from Honda. For the way you really live. Or want to.
Okay, plan B.
The difference in carbs between Miller Lite and Coors Light is only 1.8 grams. You can burn 1.8 grams while you're holiday shopping. Online. So be a smart shopper and buy some Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light.
Mike, Sue?
Yes.
Love and honor? Yep. Sickness, health?
Uh-huh.
Objections? Rings? Do you? I do. Do you?
I do.
Kiss? Husband and wife. Next.
Nextel walkie-talkies get it done.
The difference in carbs between Miller Lite and Coors Light is as little as 1.8 grams. The difference in taste is as big as the Rockies. Drink Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light.
Kidnapping is dangerous.
It was supposed to be a game.
She fought back.
Your girlfriend needed to get kidnapped to get excited?
But somebody changed the rules. Now, to catch the killer,
He came in through here.
CSI must find all the players.
She looked him right in the eyes.
And he looked back.
All new CSI Miami, CBS Monday.
With Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan, 2-minute warning. Cleveland on the move, 26-yard line. A Portis touchdown run, the difference in the game.
Now, I talked about ball maintenance and not making the big mistake, but I really think in this situation, you've had success down the field. See where Dennis Northcutt is and what kind of coverage he's got on.
5 in the secondary, 26-yard line, 1st and 10. The tight end, Sanders in the backfield with White. They pick up the blitz well with the tight end. Couch dumps it incomplete. Across the middle. It was good they kept Sanders in there because they were coming up the gut, and Sanders picked it up, but to nothing on the pass, so 2nd down and 10.
And it wasn't until Fatafe, 68, the defensive tackle, got in there late and basically pressured Couch into that, but that was an excellent job of blitz pickup because they were trying to get the ball down the field.
5 remaining in the secondary, 2 linebackers, 4 in the line, 2nd down 10. Chrisman Jackson is the 3rd receiver. The backfield White with the call, running a horror block, grabbed by Kenoy Kennedy, drilled by Lenny Walls. No gain on the play, 26-yard line, 3rd down.
You still have 3 timeouts here for the Cleveland Browns, but here Jamel White. Do not timeout Browns. Don't run sideways against the Broncos. Get up the field.
John Lynch and his mom are coming to your home.
Hey, how you doing? John Lynch, how you doing? Very nice to meet you. Come in, let's go.
And they're bringing dinner. New Campbell's Chunky Grilled Chicken and Sausage Gumbo. Hearty chunks of savory meat, veggies, and rice.
What do you say I autograph?
Sure beats another frozen dinner.
Come on, check out the place. Can we play a little bit? Easy, Chuck. Mom doesn't like me rough. Come on, you can hit me a little bit. I'm sorry, Mom.
Have chunky soup for dinner.
That was great.
Make it Campbell's instead.
December means playoffs and a lot of positioning, and on the Next Till halftime report, Jim, Dan, Deanna, and Boomer will give you all the news from a busy and important afternoon in the NFL. It's next on the Next Till halftime report.
That's the only time of the year you actually hear that ties can be important.
Yes. 3rd down and 10 after that Denver timeout. Cleveland has 3. It's 3rd down and 10 at the 26. Couch with 7 with his 3rd catch today.
As he's had most of the day, excellent protection for Couch. Northcutt running absolutely free through the middle of the defense. Good, quick moves by Northcutt. His 2nd career 100-yard game, and it's only the end of the first half.
Former Los Angeles City High School basketball and football player of the year. He was a high school running back. From the 30, 1st down and 10. Couch with White in the backfield with Heinrich. And Couch throws, caught by the tight end, Darnell Sanders, grabbed by Jay-Sean Sykes. It's a gain of 8 to the Denver 22.
And Couch has got his team. He's going to huddle them up, very calmly go about doing this play. He's got plenty of time. He's got 1:20 and 3 timeouts. No reason for Bruce Arians, quarterback, the offensive coordinator, to really get too crazy. You've got plenty of time. Don't make a mistake. Be calm.
2 tight ends. King and Morgan, the receivers. White in the backfield. 2nd down 2. Denver's 22. 4-man front. And Couch with time going in the end zone for Morgan. Incomplete. Flag is down. Coverage by Lenny Walls, who was torched earlier in the game on a 44-yard completion to Northcutt.
Well, you've got a big physical wide receiver and a big physical defensive back. And Morgan got the edge, and Walls runs into him before the ball gets there.
Pass interference. Defense number 35. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball would be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic.
Randy, the Chicago Bears came in here a couple weeks ago as you watch this replay.
So you watch Lenny Walls' head. He's always looking back. Then watch his left arm. He doesn't look back at the ball. The left arm gets there early.
Chicago Bears come in here a couple weeks ago and they beat them 19-10.
And the Broncos outplayed. I mean, badly outplayed the Bears, but they still lost the game. That was evoked all week long as a motivational tool. But Cleveland has come in as Bears 2 at this point.
Ryan Tucker in the backfield, a lead block and a handoff to White with the helmet flying out of the pile on that 1st and goal, and it did not get across. The clock continues to tick.
Plenty of time.
Cleveland with 3 timeouts, but they're putting Ryan Tucker as a fullback. He is a starting tackle on the line for the Cleveland Browns.
Darius Holland lost his lid inside, and when you get a big fullback like Ryan Tucker coming through 72, look at that bang. And you're Darius Holland, you got a face full of 72, and that helmet went popping off backwards.
I bring up Chicago because some people thought there was a letdown against a lesser opponent by the Broncos against the Bears. Could the Broncos be facing that today against the Browns?
With the veteran leadership on the Denver Bronco football team, I don't think this is a letdown for Denver. I think this speaks more to the quality of what Butch Davis's football team has decided to do today. They did it last Monday night to the St. Louis Rams. Besides a couple interceptions, they played the Rams toe-to-toe. And right now, they are playing the Broncos toe-to-toe.
They got Joaquin Gonzalez as the right tackle. Ryan Tucker is in the backfield. 2nd down, goal at the 1. White does not get the call. Couch chased by Price, hit by Wilson, and down by Kennedy at the 2. Clock continues to go. Cleveland 3 timeouts. Did you not use one right here?
Now it stops.
Okay, yep.
Timeout's been called. Well, there wasn't much for Tim Couch to do once the initial play was pretty much ignored. So there's no way you're going to dump the ball off. There's excellent coverage by the Denver defense, and Tim Couch is not a threat to scramble. Mike Vick and Tim Couch are rarely evoked in the same sentence when it comes to running.
Progress was stopped inbounds as forward progress was, and so now ball is between the 1 and the 2-yard line. The Cleveland Browns, Randy, took over at their own 13 with 3:03 left, upcoming the 9th play of this drive.
You know, sometimes you can be a little too cute. We've seen teams during this season maybe at times be a little too cute. That might have qualified as Cleveland being a little too cute and not just being a little more smash mouth about it with a tackle at fullback.
Ryan Tucker now back at tackle. 3rd down and goal at the 1. Heinrich is in motion. Couch to White. And twisting and corkscrewing, and he
Well, if he's short, he is short by, I'm talking inches.
The nose of the ball is no more than 5 inches from the goal line. The clock continues to tick. Why not take a timeout and try one more? But they're going to wait. It looks like
either way, they're going to let the clock run down and then make it a last play, either a last play run or a last play field goal.
It is 4th and 1, 4th and goal at the 1.
Watch Jamel White and the second effort. He is met extremely hard by Sykes, and look at the twist. He twists just short of the goal line when he hits the ground. You think coaches don't just live and die in every play? Look at the body language of Butch Davis, and I think this is an easy decision for Butch Davis and his football team in this situation.
Go for it.
You're down 10-3, 6 seconds to go. You go for it. You've got about a foot to go.
Well,
and Mike Shanahan's defense has got to bow up, and this crowd is going to help him. It will be loud.
What would you call here? What kind of play would you look at if you're Cleveland?
You don't be cute. I think you just blast it. Right behind Tucker, your best offensive lineman.
The offensive lineman Tucker's in the backfield. 4th and goal at the 1. Heinrich in motion. Jamel White. Stopped in a flag. No flag. Yeah, there was a flag. Great defensive play coming in.
That has to be offsides against Denver.
It is. 1 second left on the clock as of right now.
Offside. Defense. The left tackle. Half distance to the goal. Repeat 4th down.
Here's Darius Holland right there at right defensive tackle. See him lurch into the neutral zone next to Fowler, who's lined up at center. And half the distances, the difference between 6 inches and 3 inches.
What about Al Wilson on that last play? Let's see if he is involved here. 4th and goal at the 1. Sanders, the tight end in the backfield. A fake to White, who offers a block to the end zone. Touchdown! Caught by Heinrich, his 2nd consecutive game with a touchdown reception. And a flag is down. And someone has taken off their helmet. That is Al Wilson. And that should be a penalty. Wilson just took off his helmet, but a flag was thrown before that.
And another flag just went down. That might be just exactly what that's for.
There was no foul for an eligible receiver. Number 72 had reported. However, there was a foul for unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense. 56 removed his helmet.
The touchdown stands. Tucker had reported as an eligible receiver, and Heinrich makes his 2nd touchdown reception in as many weeks. And Cleveland can tie it with an extra point. That was some kind of drive to end the first half by the Browns.
It was going to be a good goal line stand by Denver. But I tell you what it ended up being is just excellent job by Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator, of staying with his plan and doing what they do well.
Brett Conway for the tie. And this is going to surprise some people around the NFL, as Cleveland has put up 10 unanswered points to tie the Denver Broncos at halftime.
There he is. Pretty easy. Not much of a play action fake, but that's okay. Not much in the way of coverage either from the Broncos defense. If that looks familiar and you watch the Monday night game against the St. Louis Rams, that is identical to the play that they scored on last week. Almost the exact same situation.
Very good point.
And Butch Davis knows.
What kind of message by going for it 4th and 1 does it send to your team?
Well, you had a fake punt. You've had some flaws, a missed field goal. You've had a quarterback like Couch that has struggled at times this year. You got a lot of guts, and you're tied at halftime.
10 unanswered Cleveland points. We're tied at 10. The next till halftime report after this message and a word from your local CBS station.
Charter Communications has a holiday gift your whole family will love. Hurry! Right now, it's free for 2 months. Choose from all the entertainment on Charter Cable Television plus Charter High Speed with free use of a modem. This is a limited time offer, so call today. With Charter Digital, you're free to enjoy lots of great movies on HBO, Showtime, Stars, and more. Time is running out. Act now for 2 months free. Call 1-888-GET-CHARTER and take advantage of this limited time offer.
Win great prizes. Play Pigskin Picks at WWMT.com.
CBS Sports presents the Nextel Halftime Report. Sponsored by Nextel, nationwide walkie-talkie.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Nextel Halftime Report from our studios in New York. Jim Nance along with Dan Dion and Boomer. We've got some playoff news to update. Let's begin in the AFC, and you'll see that the Patriots won a 10th straight today, but more importantly on the Kansas City side, the Chiefs clinched the AFC West, and the Colts secured a berth. Didn't win the division, but got into the postseason with its win over Atlanta. The Broncos can win there. They'll knock out both the Bills and the Jets here this afternoon. On the NFC side, the Rams, well, they secured the NFC West earlier today, and the Bucs with a big win. They stayed in the hunt now at 7-7, their first back-to-back wins of the season. Let's go through it now. The game you're watching, Cleveland with that touchdown ties it right before the half, Dan.
And it does, and you know, the Cleveland Browns are looking for someone to step up in the quarterback position. Tim Couch comes out, has 6 for 10, 136 yards, but a big drive at the end, and shows that he can lead this team to victory on the road.
Hey, you know, Boomer's been talking all day. It's a day for home teams in the early finals, 9-0. And how about a home team here? The Raiders all over the Ravens today.
Myron finding the old savvy veteran Jerry Rice, 21 yards for the touchdown. Philip Buchanan interception, setting up Zach Crockett for yet another touchdown.
Wow, that's a surprising showing there. And the Packers 10-3 over the Chargers. Amon Green sets the single-season rushing mark at Green Bay, breaking Jim Taylor of 1962. And the Cardinals are in front. Emmitt Smith with the last touchdown there.
Yay!
Cowboys just got a score from Quincy Carter. Earlier finals, here are the Patriots now 12-2. Hey, this would have tied it. Leftwich, Freddie Taylor drops it. Brady today, 2 touchdown tosses. This one to Troy Brown. Antoine Smith, well, he just locked things up right here, and that defense of Teddy Bruschi and company dominated today.
And when the field gets like this, December in Foxborough, it's hard to get outside on this defense because of the field. So once we stop the running game, then we want to put some pressure on the passer.
There it is. 12-2, the 12 wins sets a single-season franchise mark. The Jets in the snow at the Meadowlands.
And it's all about Curtis Martin, 174 yards on the day, 9 straight 100 rushing yard seasons. Only he and Barry Sanders have accomplished that feat. 6-0, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And the Jets go to 6-8. Meanwhile, also an early final. The Titans got a scare down from the Bills.
Billy Volek, big game for Tennessee right here. He rolls out 2-yard touchdown to Justin McCarrans. And then Drew Bledsoe finds Mark Campbell at the end of the game to bring them within 2 points, and they go for the 2-point conversion to Bobby Shaw. Don't make it. Bonnie Bernstein talks with Billy Volek.
Well, I think the big factor was we stayed with it. You know, we got down a little bit early in the first half, but we stuck with it. We kept on working. We kept on grinding, and, you know, it worked out.
Yep, worked out. They end the 2-game losing streak. Volek looks sharp, subbing for McNair today. Talking about sharp, how about Peyton Manning?
This doesn't make any sense. Peyton Manning, 465 yards total offense, 5 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison, 2 TDs, 117 yards. Edgerrin James over 100 also.
Let me introduce you to the answer for Tampa Bay. By the way, the Colts again got in with that win. The answer today, Thomas Jones.
134-yard rushing, 18 yards right here, 107 total yards for Houston on offense. Don't look now, but guess who's back into the playoff hunt? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 16-3 over the Texans.
Kansas City wins the AFC West, demolishing Detroit today.
And they dominated. Priest Holmes gets a 14-yard touchdown right here. 3 on the day. Trent Green also has 3 touchdowns, and he finds Derek Blaylock. When you look at this poor tackling by the Detroit Lions, he goes 63 yards for a touchdown. Kansas City rolls big today.
And the Lions lose a 23rd straight road game, ties the all-time mark of the Houston Oilers back in the 80s. Hey, next Saturday, folks. Remember, it's Saturday. This is a big one. Kansas City at Minnesota. The NFL Today gets us started at 4:30 Eastern Time. Next Saturday, the Chiefs against the Vikings. It'll be a critical game for Minnesota, coming in off a loss to the Bears today.
Goes for no TDs, but no interceptions. Right here, going for the win. Charles Tillman makes the play over Randy Moss, who also had 94 yards receiving today.
Yep, so Grossman leads the way, and the Bears prevail over Minnesota. Minnesota, Kansas City next Saturday. The Rams, well, they're the NFC West champions for the 3rd time in 5 years.
And they win again at home. Mark Bolger finds Isaac Bruce right here for an 18-yard touchdown down. Matt Hasselbeck returns the favor to Darrell Jackson for a touchdown. Torrey Holt, watch this catch. Mark Bolger drops back, hits him for a 40-yard touchdown. Look at this great concentration he has. Sean Alexander scores, and Mark Bolger talks about the big win.
You know, all of our games this year have been like this, and you know, coming down to the wire, and we've showed some heart.
Yes, heart indeed, especially at home. 13 straight home wins for the Rams. And the Bengals with a bounce-back win today.
Unbelievable. They're yelling Rudy in the Houday City. Rudy Johnson, 174 yards rushing. This comes on 4th and 1, 48 yards. That's a touchdown, 28-14 for the Bengals. Then he goes in for a 3-yard score, 41-31 Bengals. How about this? The 49ers, 502 total yards on offense, but 3 turnovers.
And 0-7 on the road.
Unbelievable.
The 49ers. The second half coming up from the Mile High City.
Bengals.
The NFL and CBS continues.
The worst team on the road.
CBS Sports presents the Nextel Halftime Report. Sponsored by Nextel, nationwide walkie-talkie.
CBS Monday on Yes Dear. What should you give your boss for the holidays?
I loaned her to Savitsky for the night.
Hey, can I get her for the night? Get out. Then it's an all-new Still Standing Christmas.
Wasn't that exciting, cutting down our own tree? Especially when that guy started chasing us out of his yard.
And Ray uncovers the ghost of Christmas presents past.
Would you like a popcorn popper?
Then Charlie's brother gets a whole new look for the holidays.
That's it. We need a gay guy.
2.5 Men on an all-new CBS Very Merry Monday. And later, Liv Tyler joins Dave on an all-new Late Show.
Let me tell you about the number 7. It's a card you fold in poker. Snow White had 7 dwarves because the guy who wrote it got sick of coming up with names. But that was before the playoffs, before the drive, before the comeback kid won back-to-back championships in old age. Now 7 makes people sleep better at night. 7's bigger than a city that's a mile high. That's how important the playoffs are. Before they showed up, 7 was just 13 minus 6. But now 7 is 7.
Scenes with Rich Eisen, only on the NFL Network.
Earlier on the NFL Today.
The script is already written. St. Louis versus Philadelphia in the championship game. That's going to be it.
We're looking for a head coach who's looking for partnership with a group of people there that are very talented.
Man, they call me CP, C-Pope, Pope, Porters, Booty Dude.
Let me give you your big hug and your kiss and wish you well. Go out, do your thing.
The NFL Today, next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern.
The kids with cancer that I've seen are tough people. I'm in a business where you have to be tough. But these kids take the cake when it comes to going out there and being brave.
CBS Sports presents the Nextel Halftime Report. Sponsored by Nextel, nationwide walkie-talkie.
The Denver Broncos hold the final wild card spot in the AFC. They control their own destiny, but they've got to keep winning. They're tied at halftime with the Cleveland Browns at 10.
Don't miss the Survivor finale and live reunion show, CBS tonight after 60 minutes.
Grand Cherokee, Liberty. You didn't try one of these, did you? No.
Maybe.
They're tough to resist.
During the Jeep year-end sales drive, get 0% financing or cash allowances and our 770 powertrain limited warranty on Jeep Liberty, plus a Columbia sportswear jacket with special Columbia edition vehicles. Hurry to your Jeep dealer and see how good the best values in America can be.
I'm loving you there, you there, out the corner of my eye, just in there. Some imaginary guy, I know you spoke to me, no time for hide and seek. You know you can't resist me when I'm holding Mickey D's.
Ain't just your imagination, McRib is back at Mickey D's. Tender pork, tangy barbecue sauce, onions and pickles. Make it an extra value meal with the Coke and hot fries. You know you gotta get with that.
For great gift ideas, shop Menards. Check out the big savings on quality power tools by Wilton. An 8-inch bench grinder with light is $49.99. This 10-inch compound miter saw is $89. Or how about a Dremel rotary tool? Choose from a corded kit with 70 accessories or an Advantage high-speed rotary saw for only $54.99 each. Plus, a Menard gift card is always a great gift idea.
More season's greetings to you all from Menards.
Ever notice that other people don't always know what you want?
Thanks.
We did.
Wow, it's a monster truck pendant.
So at Centennial, you get to pick what you want.
So I get to pick what I want.
Yeah, choose any 2 of these 4, plus 600 anytime minutes, all for only $39.99. And a free flip phone after mail-in rebate.
Centennial Wireless.
Let it snow. Just go to WWMT.com.
The Cleveland Browns, who are out of the playoffs, have scored 10 unanswered points to tie a team in the playoffs right now. Denver, 10-10 at halftime.
You know, Kevin, to me, this is about Cleveland's heart. It's not about Denver not being ready to play. Denver's pretty ready to play, but I think Cleveland has come into this game much like they did last Monday night and decided we're not giving up. We've had injuries, but look at 45 yards rushing in the first half for the Denver Broncos, and they came into this game averaging 163 a game.
Brett Conway, who kicked a 39-yard field goal in that first half, with the ball teed up at the 30-yard line. Deltha O'Neal and Adrian Medice are deep back for Denver as we begin our second half from Colorado. O'Neal from the 7-yard line. There's a seam. Jamison along with Barry Gardner bring him down, a 23-yard return.
You know, it bears noting as you take a look at these numbers, good consistency from Jake Plummer. But why has this offense been good this last half of the season? It's been Clinton Portis. He under 3 yards a carry and coming in here averaging 5.8 per carry. And Shannon Sharp being in the highlight receiving wise. And how's he do that? He just drops into zones and finds a soft spot.
4-3-4 base defense for the Cleveland Browns, 30-yard line. For Jake Plummer, first down and 10. Empties the backfield. That's Portis on the move. Blocked by Lepsis. Time for Plummer. From behind, brought down. It's Kennard Lang. Second Cleveland sack today. Lang with his 7th sack of the season. His 3rd in the last 2 games.
Well, a defensive lineman like Kennard Lang start drooling when they see empty backfields. There is no running back. Gee, figure that one out. You think it's a pass? And defensive linemen like Kennard Lang at that point, they just drop that shoulder, make it a tight corner, and run right into the quarterback.
Originally a first-round pick by the Redskins. Second down 15, back at the 25. Hape back there with Portis. Lead blocked by Hape. By Portis, initially hit and brought down by Brant Boyer. Gain of 3 to the 28-yard line.
And the reason Hape's at fullback is Quentin Griffin was deactivated, only 3 healthy running backs. And look what they've done coming into this game the last 4 weeks. They have been a juggernaut on the ground, just eating people up. And 45 yards rushing in the first half. And on that play, they are fairly ineffective.
5 in the secondary for the Cleveland Browns. 2 linebackers, 4 on the line. Receivers, McCaffrey, along with Rod Smith and Lilly. Portis in the backfield, 3rd and 12, 28-yard line. And Plummer throws, and it's caught. Shannon Sharp over 10,000 yards in his great career. Someday he will be in camp. Now he's at the 44, picks up 15 on 3rd and 12.
Here are the linebackers, and watch Sharp find a spot in the middle. After Davis settles back, just finds a soft spot. He goes where the defense is, and first tight end in NFL history with 10,000 yards receiving.
And they're going to save the ball and take that to Ohio. Canton, Ohio, in the Hall of Fame. By the way, that is only the 3rd time that the Broncos have converted 3rd and 11 or more all season long. A pretty significant number. A good catch by Sharp, who might be playing in his final regular season home game here in Denver. 43, 1st and 10. Portis. And still digging his way before Warden and some others get there and bring him down. Gain of 3.
And we talk again about Shannon Sharp, and you can't overstate the difference he's made, and he's a difference maker. You know, as he's become a leader later in his career, not only here in Denver with the 2 Super Bowl wins, he goes to Baltimore, does the same thing in sort of a triumvirate with Ray Lewis and Rod Woodson leading the football team. Leads the football team here in Denver, was introduced last in the lineups. The crowd went nuts, gave him a standing ovation. But he and players like him are the guys that have to rally this football team to realize what they're about to throw away at this rate.
Empty backfield, 4 receivers, including Portis at the bottom of your screen, and Plummer throws and caught by Rod Smith, close to a first down. Lehan and Griffith make the initial hits on 2nd down and 7. And the spot should take them for a first down to the Cleveland 46.
Yeah, besides Shannon Sharp and this sort of festival of numbers that Denver had almost coming in here, Clinton Portis now becomes only the 3rd running back to have 1,500 yards rushing in each of his first 2 seasons. What kind of company does that put you in? Fairly elite. Edgerrin James, who did it a few years ago, also out of the University of Miami, and Eric Dickerson. And I can tell you from experience playing against Dickerson, he was a nightmare.
Sharp becomes one of 3 receivers. 1st and 10 with Portis in the backfield from the Cleveland 46 for Plummer. Going on the side to the hands of Rod Smith, covered by Lehan, and that is the 4th dropped Denver pass today.
Yeah, it's not overstating saying this is a huge drive for Denver. I don't believe it. Coming off what you sort of ended your half with the score for Cleveland, you've got an opportunity to get the ball, and Mike Shanahan's offense has a chance to, A, quick dropping passes like you've done it, and B, just effectively move the ball down the field and take some of the momentum and take some of the confidence away from this Cleveland Brown football team.
7th play of the drive, 2nd down and 10, Cleveland 46. 8th in the backfield, the tight end with Clinton Portis, and grabbed by Kennard Lang, one of a couple Browns to make the stop at the 41 with the gain of 5. Denver comes in today, Randy, having won 3 of 4. The Cleveland Browns have lost 6 of their last 7 games.
Watch Andre Davis. The eyes may be shifting, but he's looking at number 26, Clinton Portis, and getting ready to just light up his world. He just ran right through Clinton Portis. That was an excellent job by Andre Davis in the middle of that defense.
5 in the secondary for the Browns, 2 linebackers, 4 on the line. McCaffrey, Lee, Smith receivers, 1 tight end, Sharp, Portis in the backfield, 3rd long 5, 41 of Cleveland. Plummer loops it off to McCaffrey for a first down. Stiff arms his way to Anthony Henry, brought down by Earl Little at the Cleveland 25. A gain of 16 on 3rd and 5 for the Denver Broncos.
And Denver fans have to love having their guy, Eddie Mack, back as a force in this offense. 2 weeks ago against Oakland was really his first week back, running patterns, full speed. He had a partial tear of the quadricep tendon, and he's able to now practice. And week by week, he's contributing more and more to this offense.
Long drive, just passing 5 minutes inside the Cleveland 25, 1st and 10. Again, Portis back there with Hape, and Portis the call. Grabbed by Andre Davis. He's holding on for dear life, and then Michael Myers came in there too, a loss of about a yard.
Yeah, this offensive line for Denver, we talked about it at the opening of the game. We've showed a couple examples, but, you know, the ability to get to the 2nd level, and Tom Nalen is probably the best center in the NFL at getting to that 2nd level, but the offensive line hasn't been able to get to that 2nd level against Andre Davis in this defense. Why? Well, I tell you why. Andre Davis has come onto the 1st level. And if you don't let them get to the second level, and you're already on the first level, they're standing a level behind you while you're making a play.
Doesn't seem level to me. Second down and 11. That's a lot of levels from the 25. Here comes Portis. Grabbed by Andre Davis. You're right, though. I mean, Davis has been in on almost every tackle today, stopping Portis after a 4-yard gain to the 21.
And this has turned into a physical test for Clinton Portis, because guys like Andre Davis, and you can't also, say enough about the job that guys like Gerard Warren and Orpheus Roy have done up front. Michael Myers is now in there at defensive tackle. They've controlled things inside. And when Portis has gotten his yards, he's gotten it because he's lowered his shoulder and he's been powerful.
Nickel secondary, 3rd and 7. Remember, Plummer has converted 2 third-down passes for first down on this drive. Back again from the 21, down the middle, and intercepted. Picked off by Griffith, the former Pro Bowler with the Minnesota Vikings. His first of the year, the first pick off Plummer today. It goes back to the 20 on a touchback.
The home of a tight end, especially Shannon Sharp, is the seam. Sharp running up the seam. Griffith inside, poaches, looks back, and gets that pass. That's perfect defense, and that's how you stop an offense getting a little confidence.
Gentlemen, own the DVD Tuesday.
Cheers.
SRX Performance Utility. Breakthrough.
A holiday treat as two of college basketball's perennial powerhouses collide. The Kentucky Wildcats take on the Indiana Hoosiers next Saturday on CBS.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
32-year-old Robert Griffith intercepting Plummer in the end zone. Touchback to the 21st and 10 with Jamel White. Hit by Bertrand Berry. Gain of about 3 to the 23-yard line. 2nd down and 7. And Monday on CBS. Christmas with Raymond is always an event. This year, you won't believe what he uncovers in a stockpile of unwanted presents from seasons past. An all-new Everybody Loves Raymond. It's Monday. And it's right here on CBS with Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan, 2nd down, 7. Northcutt on the sideline.
Already over 100 yards receiving. I'd have him in the game, and I'd throw it to him long.
Couple tight ends. Flea flicker. White back to Couch. Couch on the run. He's got to get to the 30. He's chased on the play by Spring, and he's got the first down. Not nimble of foot, but showing some acceleration there. He runs for 17. It's a Cleveland first down. He pulls something. You don't run like that.
He's not used to running that far. Look at it right on the sideline. Watch him just tip, dot, in, dot. Yeah, he might have hurt. He might have cramped up a little bit trying to be a ballerina, tiptoeing on the sideline. But they ran that play. The defense went way off. And Tim Couch was able to scramble, and that's saying something about how far that defense ran off.
Broncos in a 4-3-4. 1st and 10 for the Browns. Jamel White chased and tried to stiff arm his way into Herndon. Brought back and no gain on the play. Hey, let me ask you about Couch, the quarterback situation for Cleveland. Everyone's auditioning. I'm assuming he is auditioning as well for next year.
He'll be, John Kitten is living proof that teams can be wrong and situations can be wrong. I think it remains to be seen if this is the wrong situation for Tim Couch. Obviously, there's some salary cap ramifications, with his salary cap number next year for the Cleveland Browns. But you give this quarterback protection, and Kelly Holcomb, who now is the backup, who was the starter, and then he was the backup. They've gone back and forth, but Tim Couch can throw this ball if you give him time.
Northcutt is in. 2nd down, long 9. Fake end around to Northcutt instead to Jamel White, who was initially hit by Price and by Herndon. Gain of 4 on the play to the 45. First half offensive leaders for the Cleveland Browns.
Talked about how efficient that Jake Plummer was. 60% of your passes, which is about standard for Tim Couch, but he's gotten some nice big plays with it. And Jamel White has given him just enough passing. And Northcutt, I've mentioned already just a minute ago, over 100 in the first half. Get him in there and get him the ball.
5 in the secondary, 2 linebackers, 4 defensive linemen, 3rd and 5. Cleveland only 1 of 6 on 3rd down from the 45.
Blitz.
4 receivers deployed. White in the backfield. Here they come. Herndon is picked up. Couch throws back down incomplete. It was either Reggie Hayward or Spragan, but they got in the face of the Cleveland quarterback, and the Browns have got a punt.
That was Reggie Hayward, and that play there is an excellent example of collapsing the pocket. Watch the pocket collapse from the inside and collapse from the outside. As the pocket collapses, Hayward's able to get his hand up, and there was no lane, no passing lane, no spaces to fit that ball in.
Here's Gardocki to punt. Deltha, O'Neal, and waiting back at the 10-yard line. Gardocki has not had one punt in over 965 punts. An NFL record. They get one more. Sends up a rocket as that trickles into the end zone. Flag is down. 55-yard punt. Flag is at the Denver 48.
If you're Cleveland, you'd sure like a chance to kick this again and not give up the ball on the 20-yard line to the Denver offense.
Randy, what's your read on? Let's get this first.
During the kick, holding by the receiving team, number 53. It's a 10-yard penalty. The result of the play was a touchback. It will be enforced from the 20-yard line to the 10-yard line. Timeout.
I want to pick up a point about leadership and the character of the Browns today, scoring 10 unanswered points to tie Denver.
Performance utility. Breakthrough.
Introducing the Wild Mountain Combos from Wendy's. A hot, smoky Southwestern pepper sauce, Colby Jack, and bacon on a juicy hamburger or on Wendy's spicy chicken filet. Now that's something to remember. Wendy's, it's better here.
Hey, Bob. You get a new haircut?
No.
Hey, Bob.
Hey.
Did you lose weight?
Nope.
What's different? He finally asked his doctor about Viagra. Find out if a free sample is right for you.
Did you just talk to the doctor?
Yep.
Ask your doctor and see the difference.
Just stop. That's not on anybody's list.
Hectic holiday shopping can wear you down, so Staples makes it simple with digital and technology gifts that are easy to buy. And right now, Staples.com orders are delivered free. Holiday gifts at Staples. That was easy.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Friendly, nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Wendy's Wild Mountain Chicken and Wild Mountain Bacon Cheeseburger. It's better here. And by Cadillac, bold vehicles defying convention.
Ice sailing on Georgetown Lake within about a 40-minute drive, I guess, on I-70 with Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan. Cleveland just punted. Penalty on Denver to the 10-yard line, 1st and 10.
We'll see if Cleveland can keep this up on 1st down. The job they've done stopping this Denver Bronco team running the ball.
Smith in the lead, the receivers. Heap in the backfield with Portis. Clinton with the call. Bentley and some others stop him in the middle. Gain of 3 on the play. 2nd down and 7 up to the 13-yard line. Tonight on CBS, the most anticipated Survivor finale yet. 4 castaways, 3 tribal councils, 2 unforgettable hours, only 1 ultimate survivor. Don't miss the Survivor season finale and live reunion show tonight, 7 Central on CBS. Player is down, so we have an injury timeout with a tie game in the Mile High City.
Just got all my shopping done.
Great.
Jingle bells.
No, it's good.
I was in choir.
The holidays are here. Dash through your list today at Circuit City. Save $20 on this Olympus 3.2 megapixel digital camera. Just $229.99 after mail-in rebate. Save on great gifts in every department. Circuit City, we're with you.
The right truck.
Black coffee to go.
Does your truck have better resale value than Ford and Dodge? A Silverado half-ton pickup does.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, is this your truck? What's it going for?
What do you mean, what's it going for?
Let me make you an offer.
It's not for sale.
Leave it here. It's for sale.
It's not for sale.
Silverado. It's the right truck from Chevy. Silverado is the only full-size pickup available with OnStar.
Access NFL.com for live scores and stats. And after the games, AOL members get exclusive NFL.com features only on AOL.
Andy Roddick is the U.S. Open champion.
The U.S. Open on CBS Sports.
Tim Couch's touchdown pass tied this game. Portis, the touchdown run for the Broncos after the injury timeout. 2nd down 7. On the 12, brought down. Rogers was in there along with Kevin Bentley. The injured player was Lang on that last play. We're going to try to get an update on Kennard Lang as you see him right there. A very important guy. Looks like he might be going to the locker room.
And one of the few times that Clinton Portis has gotten past that first level. He got into the 2nd level almost standing up. He was kind of stumbling, but Clinton Portis managed to get through there and get into the linebacker territory without one of the defensive linemen or Andre Davis getting in his face.
Mark Word is taking the place of Lang. It is a 1st down, 21-yard line for Denver. Portis again. Rogers and Brant Boyer bring it down at the 23-yard line and a gain of 2. I mentioned a couple breaks ago about the character and the leadership of the Browns in a losing season. A lot of it, of course, begins with their coach, Butch Davis.
Yeah, a lot of rumors this week about him going to the University of Nebraska, which he has vehemently denied, and again told us last night, I have absolutely no interest in that job. I mean, he is here for the long haul. He came out with a comment yesterday that he wants to end his career in Cleveland, as every other coach would like to end their career wherever it is they are. But the key for me is leadership on the football team from the players, not the coach. It's the players, and that's where I think they're lacking.
2nd down, long 7, 24-yard line. Plum. Here comes Andre Davis. The pass goes to Patrick Haight. And he's brought down by Word in a 1st down, acquired 31-yard line, gain of 8. They don't throw to Hape all that often, but he just gets his 2nd catch of the year.
Hey, you talk about leadership. I think we found out one thing watching tape, and maybe today too. If you're a Cleveland Brown, you got one leader right there in Andre Davis. We talked to him a little bit about the very thing about, being vocal and being out there. 11 tackles so far today, and he looks like a leader. He's got the credentials on the field to be a leader, and Kennard Lang's back, and that's another guy that's got the veteran leadership ability.
32-yard line, 1st and 10. Lee on the move, as is Jake Plummer with the fake to Portis and outside to 8. 2nd consecutive catch. A block by Adams, busted by Roy. And another tackle over there made by Williams. 13-yard gain and a 1st down.
You know the term thinking out of the box? Well, maybe Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, and Mike Shanahan were too much in their own little running box until the last couple of plays. In the last 2 plays, you've seen a lot of how they started the game last week against Kansas City, with a little naked boot and the misdirection and getting Jake Plummer out of the pocket and away from the defense and able to take the quick, easy little completions because the defense reacts the other way.
Portis, 23 carries, 69 yards, 1st down. Lee in motion, 44-yard line. Clinton Portis, 24th carry of the day. Brought down on that defensive line after a gain of 4. And it was, let's see, Griffith in the backfield. We got him. Warren got a hand in there as well. So Cleveland out of the playoff race. Denver definitely in, but holding on that 6th and final playoff slot.
And a few interested observers down in South Florida. Miami's playing Philadelphia tomorrow night, and you can bet your boots they're watching the Denver Broncos tied right now with Cleveland and rooting hard for the Browns.
48-yard line, 2nd down, 6, 4-3-4 defense for Cleveland. Portis out of the backfield. The pass dropped by Ron Smith. Coverage by Griffith and Lehan and Bentley. Incomplete. There's the playoff picture in the AFC.
Now you look at Cincinnati and the job they've done. How big's that game they have next week? Cincinnati has to go to St. Louis. 8-6 today, getting that win against the 49ers. Jets still haven't been eliminated, and Denver's still in the heart of it, but they've got to get out of here before they have to worry about going to Minnesota, going to Indianapolis.
3rd down.
Going to Green Bay, rather.
Exactly. 3rd down and 6. 5 in the secondary. 2 winedowns. 48-yard line. Plummer getting brought down by Warren. It's the 3rd sack today by the Cleveland Browns. They devour Plummer. And the 2nd by Warren this afternoon.
And Butch Davis's defense in back-to-back possessions. Jake Plummer in this offense has gotten a little bounce working. They've gotten a little continuity. They've gotten a little rhythm, and both times it's been a big play. First by Robert Griffith on the interception in the end zone. And right there, Gerard Warren working right by Dan Neal, the right guard, and getting himself a sack again.
Northcutt has returned 2 punt returns in his career for touchdowns. He's had a huge day receiving today, well over 100 yards. Mike Orr to punt for the Denver Broncos. Under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter as the Browns have scored 10 unanswered points. Good punt by Orr. Northcutt, 10-yard line. Gets away from Middlebrooks. Slipping is Burns. Down he goes. Burns was one of a couple guys on him. Donnie Spragan got him as well. 3-yard return, 49-yard punt.
What do you call that return? Basically much to do for nothing.
Not much.
Do you have the right truck?
Black coffee to go.
Does your truck have better resale value than Ford and Dodge? A Silverado half-ton pickup does.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, is this your truck? What's it going for?
What do you mean, what's it going for?
Let me make you an offer.
It's not for sale.
Leave it here. It's for sale.
It's not for sale.
Silverado, it's the right truck from Chevy. Silverado is the only full-size pickup available with OnStar.
Wow, they smell great.
Did someone bring a bouquet?
Actually, it's more like a bouquet.
Now, pick up a fresh holiday meal with all the fixings and get a large popcorn chicken free. For Kitchen Fresh Chicken, you got a KFC What's Cooking.
Zales half-carat princess cut diamond ring for just $199. Stunning and unforgettable. Oh, look, it matches her perfectly. Exclusively at Zales, making moments last a lifetime.
What you seeing didn't start with LL today. Take it from me. Run DMC paved the way with Jam Master J. The KINGs. Run D and Dr. Pepper. That's originality. The taste of Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper. The taste of originality. Salutes individuality. Individual. Gives life personality. Be you. Do what you do. Be you. Be you. Nothing better than Dr. Pepper. Run DMC and Jam Dr. Pepper.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC Popcorn Chicken. Want 100% chicken breast in fun-sized bites? You got a KFC What's Cooking. And by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Be you. Nothing's better. Dr. Pepper.
Denver led on a 51-yard field goal and a 1-yard touchdown run by Portis. Cleveland came back to tie it on a 1-yard touchdown pass by Couch. After the Denver punt, first down and 10 from the 12. Lee Suggs, the rookie, gets by one defender. Then Sykes, along with Kenoy Kennedy, bring him down. Walls couldn't. Gain of 3 up to about the 15-yard line. The Denver Broncos 8-5. They've won 2 consecutive games. Cleveland 4-9. They've lost 3 straight. But the Browns 10 unanswered points to tie the Broncos. We have concluded 3 quarters. We'll return to Denver right after this message and a word from your local CBS station.
Win great prizes. Play Pigskin Picks at WWMT.com.
With Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan, capacity filled Invesco Field in Denver, Colorado, tied at 10 to the fourth. Butch Davis, they're not going to the playoffs, but they have scored 10 unanswered to tie so far the playoff-bound Broncos, who have the 6th and final slot. They control their own destiny, but they got to keep winning.
And through 3 quarters, Cleveland's been every bit Denver's equal.
15-yard line, first play of the fourth, second down and 7. Lee Suggs, the rookie, grabbed by Darius Howland, brought down 16-yard line, gain of 1. Suggs, a 4th-round pick out of Virginia Tech. He had been injured.
During a football game, there are opportunities for plays that can turn momentum. I think this is one of those opportunities, one of those plays. If you're the Denver defense, you bring the pressure on Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator for Cleveland, and his offense. You get a pass rush by Price. You bring a blitz with a linebacker. You find a way to force a play.
5 in the secondary, 2 in the linebacking core, 4 in the line couch. He's chased by Bertrand Berry. Throws. It's dropped by Jamel White, the running back, covered by Al Wilson. It's incomplete. It's 4th and 6 from the 16. They got a punt.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was talking about. Bertrand Berry, they brought the blitz. You had a 5-on-5 situation. Bertrand Berry coming from the top of the screen around this way on Tim Couch. Comes right through the shoulder of Ryan Tucker, 72. As Couch retreats, that angle gets steeper and steeper. And it gets a lot easier for an end to get pressure on a quarterback.
This is the second half punt for the Cleveland Browns. Guard Dockey. Setting up the return, Deltha O'Neal, the multi-talented player from the 28. And a block from Middlebrooks. Grabbed and brought down by Andre Davis, the starting middle linebacker, after a 24-yard return by number 24, Deltha O'Neal.
At Miller, we brew great tasting beer because you can get in line and take what they give you, or you can make your own choice. Miller, good call.
He's watching me.
All the time. I can't see him, but he's out there.
I sense it.
On the diamond, on the court,
On the track.
he pushes himself to be better than me. Better than me.
Better than me.
Better than me. To be better than me.
Training to beat me.
All by himself. He's watched my career.
Studied my moves.
He knows my game.
Knows my strengths.
Looking for my weakness. I don't know him.
I don't know him.
I don't know him.
But he knows me.
Is it you?
Welcome to the world where competition never sleeps. The ultimate online battleground, where you can take on anyone, anytime, anywhere. This is the EA Sports Nation, and it's only on PlayStation 2. EA Sports. It's in the game.
It began with 16. Now it's down to 4. Who will be the ultimate survivor? Dara, Sassy Sandra,
I can get it out too.
Lil, or Survivor's most notorious liar, Johnny Rotten?
I'm the king of men and they're women.
He's an ass.
The Survivor season finale and live reunion show tonight after 60 minutes.
Tied at 10. Denver's turned it over once. Cleveland, no turnovers today.
But Denver, you talk about hidden yardage. Denver picked up 44 yards in that last exchange of possessions.
Portis has 73 yards on the ground, 24 carries, Hape in motion. Cleveland's 47, 1st and 10 for Plummer. He's trying to squeeze it inside. Portis flag there, and maybe a penalty on Brant Boyer, the linebacker covering Portis. Penalties today, 4 on the Browns, 8 on
Pass
the Broncos.
interference. Defense number 52. Playing to the back of the receiver. Automatic. First down.
See, here's Portis. Watch the blow come in from the backside by Boyer before the ball got there. Remember earlier it was Quincy Morgan and Jimmy Spencer. Morgan got the possession and Spencer couldn't go through him. Boyer said, the heck with that, I'm going through him anyway, and he just got there too early.
On that defensive line, you saw in the last defensive series, Kennard Lang go out. He is back in. It is 1st down and 10. Timeout. Timeout taken by the Denver Broncos. They've got 2 left. Cleveland has scored 10 and answered to tie the game.
Introducing the first SUV with a power sliding rear roof.
Whoa.
The new GMC Envoy XUV. Professional grade engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to.
It will be before these wars that the doom of our time shall be decided. Here we make our stand. We come to it at last.
Rated T for teen.
EA Games. Challenge everything. Ooh, I like steak and mushrooms. He likes a little blue cheese. I like skillet sensations. They're back at Applebee's.
Eating good in the neighborhood.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Meet Blue Cash from American Express.
A holiday treat as 2 of college basketball's perennial powerhouses collide. The Kentucky Wildcats take on the Indiana Hoosiers next Saturday on CBS.
NFL.com poll, who is the best all-around running back in the AFC? Cast your vote, NFL.com. I'm going to go with Priest. How about you?
I'm going to go with the fact that Jake Plummer would would do real well. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm just going to drop you. But no touchdowns in the 4th quarter so far this year for Jake Plummer. Doesn't bode well for this Denver team passing.
After the Denver timeout, 1st and 10, 45, they blow that dead.
Ball start. Offense, number 84. 5 yards, still 1st down.
35-year-old, all-time tight end. Receiver. 9 penalties against the Broncos. I mentioned before Chicago, you know, maybe looking past that a couple weeks ago.
Well, in the Chicago game, Mike Shanahan's football team had the ball like twice as much as the Bears, had like twice as much easy yards as the Bears. They just didn't take advantage of the situations they got, and the Bears did. I think right now, this is like 2 evenly matched heavyweights that the Broncos didn't expect the heavyweight. They were expecting a middleweight.
1st and 15, 4-3-4 defense for the Browns. Plummer outside. Caught by Ron Smith. 3 Browns to meet him. Led by Williams. There's Andre Davis over there. Gain of 9 to the 41.
You got to say that the 2 things that have been missing, or the most glaringly missing from the Denver offense in this football game, has been not only the running game we went over, and the fact that the offensive line hasn't gotten to the 2nd level. It's been a lack of a rhythm. It's something Jake Plummer and this offense have really had the last month, a real bounce and a real rhythm. Not much rhythm. Right now, they can't dance.
2nd down, 6, 41-yard line. Hape in motion out of the backfield. Portis remains to block, and Plummer throws. Caught by Smith. On the side, Roosevelt Williams. Kevin Bentley, the tackle, 34-yard line, gain of 7 and a 1st down.
And another example of a good veteran receiver move on a defensive back. You use your body to position yourself between the defensive back and the quarterback so you get the ball. And why do you do that? Well, if you're Rod Smith, you've spent a lot of time doing it over the last X number of years, and you've really started to get a rapport with your new quarterback, Jake Plummer.
34-yard line, 1st and 10. 2 tight ends, Carswell and Sharp. Caffrey on the move. Portis in the backfield, and with the ball. Slips through and is brought down, it looks like, by Brant Boyer. gain of 4. The complete story of the capture of Saddam Hussein, that's tonight on 60 Minutes, 7/6 Central on CBS. Portis with the 1-yard touchdown run today on the ground. 25 carries, 77 yards.
3.1 average per rush. Again, I'll say it. Came into the game averaging 5.8.
Second down and 6. They're now in field goal range at the 30. 2 receivers deployed. The 2 tight ends are in tight and Plummer. Throws and caught by Sharp. First down, 19-yard line. It's a gain of 11. Working on the side on Griffith. Our first trip to New York in Jim Nance.
All right, thank you, Kevin. The Ravens have scored a touchdown at Oakland as it's Todd Heap from Anthony Wright. And the Ravens have gone for 2. They say he did not break the plane. The Ravens on the 2-point try. It's being reviewed right now. 17-12, Oakland, third quarter. Back to you.
Thank you, Jim. They got a slight lead over Cincinnati, who beat San Francisco today. Baltimore, Randy, just 2 and 4 on the road. First down after that catch by Sharp of 11 to the 19 of the Cleveland Browns. Take the end around. Portis sneaks in his way. And he's inside the 15, hit by Bentley and brought down after a gain of 6.
Yeah, we started the beginning of this game showing you a play from last week's Kansas City game where Portis ran in the middle and wasn't touched. There's a case where there were players unblocked, and he just hopped around him. Clinton Portis sometimes can make a defender look bad and look silly because how quickly he can go from running straight ahead to running left and then running straight ahead. There's Clinton Portis's mom, Ronell Hearn.
Second long 4, 13-yard line. Portis deep at the block. And that opens the door for a touchdown. His second today.
Marcus Allen did a wonderful piece on Clinton Portis in the pregame show. Interviewed Ronell Hearn. Portis says she's my lucky charm. No sooner did he show his mom on television, the offensive line does a great job up front, and Clinton Portis does one of those land speed records for 20 yards into the end zone.
Portis now 96 yards on the ground. The extra point by Elam is in. Remember, the Delta O'Neal punt return sets up a short field.
That was at 44 yards in hidden yardage that they picked up between possessions.
Clinton Portis, 9 touchdown runs in the last 3 games, including 2 today.
So we're all set for Hawaii. Flight, hotel. Hey, look, we can book surfing lessons.
I've always wanted to try that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Am I doing this right?
Perfect.
Really?
You're a natural. Or we can go horseback riding.
Okay.
Activities, another way Expedia helps you create the trip that's right for you.
Expedia.com.
EOS Rebel TI. Get into it. In your eyes, there's only one woman in the world. This Christmas, celebrate her. A diamond is forever.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Expedia.com. Don't just travel, travel right. MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And by the one and only Dockers Stain Defender.
Portis, 2 touchdown runs today. putting Denver on top. Stops a 10-0 run by Cleveland. The ensuing kickoff. Mike Orr sends it deep. Andre King from the 4 for the Browns. Back down, Keith Burns, Sam Brandon, 23-yard line, return of 21 yards.
An area block between Nalen and Neal backside. Watch the right guard Neal, 62. Want to get to the second level, you come back to the third level, which is the safety Griffith trying to run through. That sprung Portis backside.
Two best offensive lines right now in the NFL may reside in this division, Kansas City's and Denver's.
I think technique-wise, purely technique and plan, I like Denver over everybody in this league. I really, really do. I think Rick Dennison has his team playing on a different level offensive line-wise.
Tim Couch has thrown a touchdown pass today. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve here. 1st and 10, little play action on 1st and 10. Couch winding up, going deep for Northcutt, and it is intercepted. Lenny Walls makes the grab at the 17-yard line. That is the first turnover today by the Cleveland Browns. A big pick by Lenny Walls.
That ball traveled some 58, 60 yards in the air. The problem for Tim Couch, it needed to go about 65 to lead Northcutt because it was just short. Lenny Walls, nice possession. Look at the ball. Into his shoulder, into his arms. I'm going to have to see that again to see what kind of possession Walls actually had.
That would be his first interception of the season, the tallest cornerback in the NFL. Let's watch it again.
Watch the ball. Does he have it? Does it hit the ground? Looks like it's on the ground, then he picks it back up.
Did you challenge it?
Being challenged by Cleveland.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They got 3 timeouts, so all they can do is really lose a timeout.
I was in there, our production truck before the game talking to Mike Carey, and his first question to me, now you're clear on this possession thing as far as a catch. And a catch is not always the offensive player. A catch has to also be the defensive player.
Right at the ground.
See the ball roll onto the ground. The ball's moving. I think that's going to be reversed as incomplete.
Timeout.
Romeo.
Juliet.
I love you.
Ditto.
Die.
Marry him.
Never.
No. You.
Better now. No.
Kids.
Nextel walkie-talkies get it done.
Sometimes all it takes is a switch. So find out if switching to new Levitra is your next move. Ask your doctor if a free sample is right for you. Ask about new Levitra.
The one and only Docker Stain Defender.
Multifunctional, adaptable, retractable. It's the sport utility with more utility. The new GMC Envoy XUV. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to. GMC Professional Grade Engineering.
CBS Thursday, a dead teen.
Seems to me an act of rage.
An unusual weapon.
That's a hammerhead.
One of our hammers had blood on it.
Will lead CSI into a teenage wasteland.
I'm so stupid.
And an unexpected twist.
It doesn't make sense.
You know what I hate? People who hurt kids.
All new CSI, CBS Thursday.
Browns have challenged a interception by Lenny Walls, which would be his first career interception if it is ruled good, but we don't know.
Challenge is on possession. Does he actually have it?
It's on the ground.
You believe me or you're lying out?
After reviewing the play, while in the air, the defender had control of the ball And when he went to the ground, the tip of the ball hit the ground while he had control. As he got up, he lost possession. The ball never again hit the ground. So we have a completed catch, down by contact, interception, 13-yard line.
And Elam has his first career interception.
And actually, the key would be the control part of it. The key would be the control. You remember the NFC Championship game a few years back, St. Louis and Tampa. Brought about a rule change. See, his left hand is always controlling that ball. The tip hits the ground, but the left hand has it. Yet again, another nice ruling by Mike Carey.
Well, if there's a silver lining here for Butch Davis, it's that it was like a punt, which is now inside the 20-yard line. And if his offense had stuttered, at least Denver does not get great beginning field position.
And one more time, I mean, what Mike Carey's ruling at and looking at is the possession of the ball. The fact that he's got it as it hits the ground and rolls back over and the ball never really moves, that proves he has total control of the ball.
Cleveland loses a timeout. They've got 2. Denver's got 2. 18-yard line. Plummer begins at 1st and 10. Plummer today, 18 of 28, just under 200 yards and an interception. Heap in the backfield and Portis pounding his way up the middle. Hit by Rodgers and by Boyer. Gain of 3 to New York and Jim Nantz.
All right, Kevin, let's just clean up now. That two-point try, it was reviewed and it was denied. Chester Taylor tried, he reached, tried to get the ball across. They reviewed it, no go. 17-12 Oakland, last minute of the third. And let's go back to Kevin and Randy.
Jim, thank you. Remember, that's the #1 rushing team in the NFL. Okay, Cincinnati wins. Baltimore playing, half-game lead for the Ravens.
And the Ravens have the formula to win on the road. They're not able to execute it right now in Oakland. I mean, if you can run the ball and play that kind of defense, you can win on the road.
2nd down, 6. And off the Portis, over 100 yards. Boyer again grabs him among many Browns. Clinton Portis has now rushed for 100 yards in 6 consecutive games. He picks up 4 there, making it 3rd and 2.
Yeah, but he's going to go through a couple bags of ice tomorrow, because I say this Cleveland defense has delivered to him a little lump sandwich. They've really put some blows on Clinton Portis, and if he's over 100, he indeed is. It's because he's taking it about 2.6 to 300, 3.0 a crack, and his mom, Ryan Hearn, will be the one tomorrow to say, baby, you okay? You're getting up kind of slow.
Nickel secondary, 3rd down and 2. Ball's at the 26-yard line for Plummer. To Portis, chased by Roy. Incomplete.
Wow, no flag.
No flag.
I tell you what, he was offsides, and Mike Shanahan is screaming about it.
With nothing on the field, no yellow remains, and here come the special teams units for both squads.
Now, Orpheus Roy lines up right over the center and runs into the neutral zone. Watch. Oh, no fair getting the little false start.
Remember now, Denver's got lousy coverage teams, and they try to be helping out Mike Anor, and Northcutt back at about the 29-yard line.
Northcutt is a big play returner.
Get it away. Northcutt, 28-yard line. Up the gut and free. There he goes. Northcutt on the fly, and the punter brings him down. Mike Anor saving a touchdown. A 46-yard punt. A blistering 39-yard return by Northcutt.
You know, sometimes you watch a punt return and you say, is it wall right or is it wall left? How about the heck with the wall? I'm running up the middle by Dennis Northcutt, and if I can get by the first 2 guys, I've got clear sailing until I get to Mike Anor. And to Mike Anor's credit, he does a form tackle. I've seen a lot of defensive players who make a lot of money in this league haven't been able to make a tackle that clean.
Season high 39-yard punt return, setting up outstanding Cleveland position at the Bronco 34. White in the backfield. The base 4-3-4 Denver defense.
Cleveland, one of the best teams in the league. When they get the ball in your territory, they're one of the best teams in the league at scoring touchdowns.
Andre Davis battling the flu is in. Here comes White and brought down by Donnie Spragan. A loss of about a yard. 2nd down, 11 at the 35.
Well, there's a time to dance, there's a time to bounce, and there's a time to lower your head and pile into an offensive lineman. That was the time to pile into the offensive lineman. And if that's all you're going to do running the ball against this Denver defense, you're better off getting Northcutt in the game like Cleveland just did and saying, look, we can't get our yardage in chunks. Let's just chunk it.
5 in the secondary, including Ryan McNeil. Second down and 11. 35 of Denver. Couch, pretty good time to throw. Here comes Bertrand Berry, almost picked off by Reggie Hayward, incomplete. They were going for the running back, White. 3rd and 11.
You know, I'm not really sure if Hayward had done that nice a job of dropping back into coverage or been blocked that effectively. That he was right there when he saw White come out of the backfield. He reacted to the screen and set himself in an opportunity to make a big play.
Couch 6 of 14 passing, 136. Touchdown, interception. Watch for Northcutt on this play.
Yeah, if there's one guy in your Denver, you better make sure number 86 isn't the one that catches this.
3rd and 11 at the 35. 5 in the secondary for the Denver Broncos. 3 receivers deployed. The tight end becomes a 4th, and Couch going deep down the side. Caught, and it is a touchdown. What a grab! A 35-yard strike from Tim Couch, a career long. And the Cleveland Browns a point from tying the ball game.
You know, you've got to wonder from up at our angel, and Andre Davis, does he have 2 feet in? Catch. There's one. Knee. Wow, what hits first, the knee or the hand out of bounds?
It's this right leg and foot that matters.
Hold on, Kev. 1.
Yep,
2.
down, yep.
Definitely both feet. And that was a nice play call. They used Northcutt as a decoy to keep the safety out of the play, and a perfect pass by Tim Couch. I don't think that's close.
What a spectacular job by Davis to get his other leg down with the guy on his back and falling out of bounds.
And Andre Davis wasn't in the game for a good chunk here. He had an abdominal. It was a little abdominal problem. It was a little sick.
For his touchdown, being challenged by Denver.
Now, from that back angle we showed originally, you can see he got both feet down.
Challenge is on with the timeout.
It's simple, really. If we could get everybody in the country to drive the all-new Chevy Malibu, we think you'd agree. It's just about perfect.
The new Chevy Malibu, available with OnStar. Visit ChevyMalibu.com for details.
Digital photography. HP. Invent.
Introducing Remington's new Titanium Smart System, the only shaver that combines the sharpness of titanium-coated blades with the technology to automatically clean itself. It could just make all other shavers obsolete.
In life, you can choose to give up or find the courage to keep fighting.
I just think this horse has a lot of heart.
There it is! Seabiscuit.
Don't stop, boy. Don't ever stop.
Own and give the DVD and video December 16th.
Remember, it's 2 feet, but it's also you can't put your hand down before the second foot. 1 foot. When is the other foot down? Now, down. Hand has not hit the ground. See the hand, the left hand has not hit the ground before this foot is down. Down, hand off the ground. That was a catch.
Remember, the field possession was set up by the Northcutt 39-yard punt return.
After reviewing the play, the receiver had possession of the ball. His left foot hit, and then his right foot hit inbounds before the left hand hit out of bounds. Score is good. Denver with the charge with their timeout.
That is an excellent explanation. But Randy, you are the one who caught it with, you know, he's been battling the flu all day, still not feeling good on the sideline.
As he explained, watch the right foot and the left hand. See the foot is down and the hand's off the ground. Not by much. I tell you, credit to our officials to be able to do something you've got to slow down with technology to actually see, and they caught it on the spot.
Denver loses a timeout. This to tie the game at 17. Couch has thrown 2 touchdown passes today. The next, as you see by Andre Davis there.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Wachovia Securities. Together, we can achieve uncommon results. And by the new Chevy Malibu. Your private Malibu showing starts at ChevyMalibu.com.
The sun is setting here in the Rockies. The Denver Broncos holding on to the final playoff slot in the AFC. Have watched a very stubborn Cleveland team come into Mile High, much like a lowly rated Chicago team did a couple weeks ago. You don't think we've got some interested parties down in Miami watching this game right now? Because it's Miami and Denver jockeying for that last spot.
Yeah, you talk about the sun setting, and the sun may be setting on Miami, because it's not like Miami has an easy road after this. You know, they had Cleveland, which everybody treated as kind of a, yeah, they got Cleveland, but look at those last 2 games. Well, they got to get by Cleveland first. You know, you're going to Philadelphia. You're going to, I mean, Miami's remaining games is Philadelphia, Buffalo, and the Jets.
And then Denver's got the Colts and Green Bay.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mike Shanahan knows he's got to find a way to get 10 wins. I don't think, we had this conversation with Mike, that he said there's ways that you can get 9 wins and get it. If you want to be sure to get in, you better have 10.
Deltha O'Neal is back. Conway sends a laser through the end zone and out of bounds. Touchback to the 20 for the Denver Broncos. And that's what they've got after today. Very tough to win in both places.
And Mike Shanahan's going to be singing "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me," a little Elton John here, if he doesn't get his football team motivated here in the 4th quarter and put a drive together and take control of this football team, because Butch Davis's football team didn't get the memo. They didn't get the memo that they were 4-9 and shouldn't be able to do this against a team that has run the ball all over people the last month.
One timeout for Denver. 20-yard line, 1st down and 10, touchback to 20. Hape in the backfield with Portis, who gets the call. Blocked by Hape, flag is thrown, tackle made by Brant Boyer, 25 and a gain of 5 and a hold.
Oh, that's going to be a hold, I think, against Matt Lepsis.
Holding. Offense number 50. 10-yard penalty. In this case, half the distance to the goal. Still 1st down.
10 penalties, a season high on the Denver Broncos.
That's Ben Hamilton, who's working really in one of those area blocks with Nalen right here, working against Orpheus Roy. Nalen hits and goes off. Hamilton stays on, and see the hand across the chest? Just because that hand is inside doesn't mean it's not going to be called for holding, because he's impeding Roy's effort to go across the defense.
3 receivers, McCaffrey, Smith, and Lee. Back to the 10, 1st and 20. Portis in the backfield and the call. Gets him to throw a block. Then Leanne and Lang make the stop. Gain of 6 to the 16. Next Saturday, the NFL on CBS gets into playoff mode with a special showcase when the Chiefs tangle with the Vikings. Excitement begins with Jim, Dan, Gian, and Boomer. All on the NFL Today at a special time, 4:30 Eastern, here on CBS.
You think Mike Tyson and the Minnesota Vikings are going to be desperate next Saturday on CBS? They lost to the Chicago Bears.
And a rookie quarterback, Rex
Grossman, the 2nd first-round pick of the Chicago Bears, got his first start of his career and his first win.
16-yard line, 2nd down, 14 for Plummer. Receivers deployed. Portis out of the backfield. This will go to Shannon Sharp. Brought down by Orpheus Roy, the ex-Pittsburgh Steeler. 27-yard line, and a gain on the play of 14 and a little bit shy of a 1st down.
You know, Kevin, for most of this game, I think that's been there for Shannon Sharpe. Every time we've seen Shannon Sharpe catch a ball, it's been for about 10, 15, 20 yards right in the middle of the defense. If this is indeed Shannon Sharpe's last hurrah at Mile High in Denver, if Mike Shanahan wants to win this game, I think you let it be a big one for Shannon Sharpe and keep giving that ball over the middle.
Gain was for about 12, a spot that probably wasn't all that favorable to the Denver Broncos. From the 27, Portis dives ahead for the first down, slipping through the grasp of Jamison. Brought down by Davis, gain of 8. First down, under 6 to play.
Remember we talked about earlier with Nalen and Hamilton working on Orpheus Roy. Watch the combination this time. Hamilton gets off to the second level. Nalen does a nice job. That was blocked almost exactly like that big touchdown run last week against Kansas City between Nalen and Hamilton. That was great coordination on an area zone block.
Great tackle by Earl Little in the secondary. First and 10, 36-yard line. 4-3-4 defense for the Cleveland Browns. Portis over 100 yards today. Great play. Gerard Warren bringing him back. He's got a couple sacks today. Loss of 2 as he pierced that line.
You know, people talk about the draft picks of the Cleveland Browns not getting them much. Tell you what, they've got you a pretty good defensive tackle. They got you a defensive end that's playing, before he got hurt, Courtney Brown, as good as most defensive ends in this league. I think they've done a nice job of stocking this defense with talent.
Portis today, 32 carries, 116 yards, and 8. Think about Jason Elam in situations like this. At about 30 yards into field goal range, now second down and 12, 34. Plummer outside, nice tearaway. Bentley got in front of Carswell, the tight end. Excellent coverage. It's 3rd and 12. Bentley slow to get up. Earlier today, Elam kicked a 51-yard field goal. He did that earlier in the season as well.
And in case you're curious, he kicked the 51-yarder. It looks like he kind of popped through it. Remember earlier this season, I remember Shanahan saying to us in an earlier game, you see the point to where they have to get for that 51-yarder, that Elam had kind of tweaked his groin a little bit. And that doesn't go away right away for a kicker, and it limits your accuracy and your distance.
5 in the secondary, 3rd and 12. Broncos at the 34. Anderson out of the backfield. He gets away from Warren and cover, then throws a dart. Almost intercepted. No yellow on the field. Incomplete. Griffith, who has already intercepted Plummer once today in the end zone, breaks that up. And now they got a punt into the wind.
To Dennis Northcutt,
who returned it 39 yards the last time.
So if you're Mike Shanahan's coverage team, you're in this position because Griffith did a nice job of establishing position, and Lally could not get back at that ball. And now it's Northcutt. Does he go right? Does he go left? Or does he take it up the gut again?
Mike Knorr has had a couple blocked this season. Leach with the snap. Gets this off cleanly, and Northcutt watches the wind grab hold of the ball from the 27. He gets away from Burns, who tripped him up just enough, so he lost his balance. So Keith Burns with the nice special teams play. 2-yard return after a 39-yard punt into the teeth of a very stiff wind. Well, today it was a lot of Clinton Portis. A 1-yard touchdown plunge. Field goal made 10-0. Then 10 unanswered Cleveland points. Heinrich getting that right at halftime. Tied it at 10. Then this nice 13-yard gallop by Clinton Portis on his second touchdown run today. Then this long, spectacular touchdown catch by Davis with the coverage by McNeil. And we're tied at the extra point, 17 apiece, 1st and 10. Jamel White. Price slowed him down. Then Kenoy Kennedy got him. 4-yard gain, 32-yard line.
Now, you can talk about all the statistics you want. You can talk about all the rankings you want, especially if you're Denver and saying, hey, you know, we got the #3 defense in the NFL. Well, if you're the #3 defense in the NFL right here, you take control of this football game. You take control of this offense. By the same token, this mix and max offensive line that Mike Shanahan's football team is playing against, this line has a chance to take control of the Denver defense.
31-yard line, second down, long 6. On Andre Davis in motion, will offer a block, and there goes one. First down, corkscrewing into the grasp of Al Wilson up to the 41. An 11-yard carry. Remember, the Denver Broncos have blown 3 fourth-quarter leads this season.
Nice job by the entire right side. Watch them hold their blocks. That creates a soft corner on the left side of the Denver defense. Nice job by Heinrich. And at the tight end position, working off that wing. There's Brett Conway, the Cleveland kicker. He's pretty excited, isn't he?
4-3-4 defense for Denver. Cleveland 41. First and 10. Couch. Here they come. Sprague. Flag is thrown. White held. That's thrown out of bounds. White.
Oh, you're being nice. He grabbed them.
White held in the backfield, trying to hold out Donnie Sprague out of Stanford.
Holding, offense, number 30, 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
If you get square and you keep your inside eye on his helmet, you will not get in a bad position if you're Jamel White right there. Watch the position he doesn't get. He lowers his head. He had the position, but he had bad technique, and he had to grab.
First and 20, 5 defensive backs, 2 linebackers, 4 linemen, 31-yard line. Couch to White. Held up. There was a block by the center Fowler. He cuts outside, bouncing away. A nice crack out there by Kenoy Kennedy. He picks up 6 the hard way, and he's up to the 37-yard line.
In case you're worried, I mean, Conway, he's got himself to a fevered pitch. You can tell inside he's absolutely dying, but outside he's about to fall asleep. The Browns have a long way to go to get to Conway field goal range, probably about the 30-yard line at least of the Broncos.
Remember this about Conway. He won a game earlier this year for the Giants, beating the Jets in overtime. Second down, 13, 38-yard line. Sanders in the backfield along with White and Couch. Dropping, going deep down the side, and broken up beautifully by Lenny Walls. A flag is thrown. He stepped right in front of receiver Quincy Morgan.
If this is indeed a foul, Walls may have had to go through Morgan to get to that ball to knock it away, because Morgan was stopping because it was thrown short.
Pass interference. Defense number 35. Spot foul. Automatic. First down.
Hey, here's the matchup, and watch from the back. Watch Walls. Does he come through the receiver? The ball's thrown short. They're both trying to adjust. And he's coming through Morgan and through that left shoulder.
That's a 33-yard penalty. That's huge.
That's pro football. In college, it's a 10-yard penalty.
Inside the 29, first and 10. Heinrich in the backfield. Here comes Couch running it himself. And a penalty flag is thrown. Whistles are blown.
Couch is lucky, too, because Bertrand Berry is going to light him
up. Offense, number 83. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And for those of you expecting to see 60 Minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS in the game between the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. Kevin Harlan alongside Randy Cross. We're tied at 17. 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following the game, except in the Pacific and Mountain time zones, where it will be seen in its regularly scheduled time. First and 15. 33-yard line. And here comes White. Hit by Spragan. Dropped at about the 32, picking up 2 yards on the play.
We talked earlier about the target line, or where does this offense have to get into Conway range? Well, his long so far 44 yards, so you're going to have to get that ball up to about the 26-yard line before you're talking his range to start kicking a field goal.
Denver is out of timeouts. Cleveland has 2.
Well, I'm glad to see at least he got off the bench and got his helmet on. There's a chance they might need him pretty soon.
He's taking the place of Phil Dawson, who broke his arm last week At halftime, they put a cast on his arm, and he kicks the second half.
What an amazing job by Dawson
on Monday night against the Rams. It was. Everybody thinks kickers aren't tough. That was some pretty good courage. So then they put him on IR. They signed this kid off the street. And remember, Conway was waived by the Giants 3 weeks ago. He was 9 of 12 kicking for New York, including a game winner in overtime against the Jets earlier this year.
And I'll add again, I mean, he's already missed one field goal, and a short field goal in this game. 38-yarder.
Conway began the season challenging Vanderjagt at Indianapolis. So he has bounced around a little bit. Second down, 13 coming up.
Much like the red zone area and the goal line area, you can get so obsessed with these Cleveland receivers, you lose track of a tight end. Remember, Heinrich caught that touchdown. Keep track of a tight end if you're Denver.
Second and 13. They got to get to the 19-yard line. Denver in a base defense. Here come the linebackers in the blitz, and Couch across the middle. Great catch made. Frisman Jackson, a little-known player, to the 22-yard line, picks up 10. Jackson, 2 years out of Western Illinois, and his first catch.
Now you're inside the target line. You're in Conway's range, and you start talking about running out this time.
2:03.
Oh, Cedric, this is perfect.
Yeah, just you, me, and 6 of her best friends.
Ooh.
You know, I feel so good. I could just...
Oh, Cedric, I love when you dance.
I got a fire in my pants, girl.
Ooh, Cedric.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Cedric. I know a little something about making good moves. Make your move. Talk to your doctor about Viagra today.
To learn more, race over to Viagra.com.
Looking for a great holiday gift? Come into Burger King and pick up Burger Bucks gift certificates.
I think that's a great idea.
And make sure you take home the latest Cat in the Hat ornament for yourself.
Humana, humana, humana. Oh, no!
What can a toy store teach us about disciplined investing? Not everything that catches your eye is worth buying. At Wachovia Securities, we learn from the world around us to help you find investments that are right for you. Together, we can achieve uncommon results. Wachovia Securities.
The complete story of the capture of Saddam Hussein, tonight on 60 Minutes.
4 castaways left. Who will be the ultimate survivor?
I'm the king of men and they're women.
Could it be Johnny Rotten? The Survivor finale and live reunion show tonight after 60 Minutes.
Tonight on CBS begins with the complete story of the capture of Saddam Hussein on 60 Minutes. Then the most anticipated Survivor finale yet. 4 castaways, 3 tribunal councils, 2 unforgettable hours. Survivor tonight on CBS.
Kevin, Denver, no timeouts. Cleveland gets this first down, barring a kicker gag job. Cleveland will win this game if they get a first down.
Third down, 3:22 of the Denver Broncos. They empty the backfield. There goes White. Couch's platoon, 3 wide receivers. Here comes Berry, and Tony goes! Bertrand Berry with his 11th sack of the season, and they'll mark him at the 30-yard line, a loss of 8 on the play.
Now, Butch Davis's team just went from, if you make a first down, you can win this game, to, 47-yard field goal, and Conway's long is 44.
So now it would be about a 48. But you've got a very stiff wind at his back, Randy.
And wisely, not having timeouts on the Denver side, Cleveland is letting this ball run out. The play clock down to 3, 2, 1. Timeout by Couch, standing right in front of Mike Carey.
Because of the sack, a 40-yard try becomes a 48-yard try. Drama in Denver, tie game.
I went from Phoenix, Arizona
5-star premium quality denim. Wrangler. Real.
48-yard drive.
Denver will bring the block from the outsides.
Punt brand, a rookie will snap it. Gardocki to home. The kick is up. It's got the distance, and it is good. And Cleveland has taken the lead with 1:11 to play. A kid they signed off the street this week after the regular guy broke his arm. And Brett Conway has come in to give the Cleveland Browns the lead.
That was a perfect snap. Nice hold by Gardocki. And Conway absolutely drilled it. You could hear a pin drop here at Mile High, and for a good reason. Butch Davis's team came to play.
After a field goal of 48 yards, the ensuing kickoff, Deltha O'Neal. Brought down by Bodden. Lee Bodden with the special teams tackle, a 21-yard return. Remember, the Broncos have blown 3 fourth-quarter leads this season. Will this be their 4th of the year? And this is the current AFC playoff picture.
Well, I tell you one thing, there's a team in the Miami Dolphins sitting in South Florida getting ready to play tomorrow night against the Philadelphia Eagles, who's rooting pretty hard that they do blow another fourth-quarter lead.
Cleveland Browns, 10 unanswered fourth-quarter points. Second time they've done that today. Here they go. Denver, no timeouts. Plummer first and 10, 25. He is platoon 4 receivers. Quickly to the side. Ashley Lilly, belted by Lehan, gain of 7.
Now remember, you've mentioned the wind earlier. Elam made a 51-yarder earlier with the wind. Going into the wind this way, he's got to get, I think, at least inside the 30, probably about to the 28-yard line.
Second down 3, 32. No timeouts for Plummer.
Get out of bounds.
To the side, could be a big-time catch. First down, Lehan knocks him out of bounds, 37-yard line. Gain of 5.
Now this is the test of a quarterback like Jake Plummer. You know, Jake Plummer late in the game has always been known as somebody that can come back and beat you. Now you're a favorite. Now you have all the tools. Now can you come back with all the tools in a better situation and save your football team and set Jason Elam in a situation where he can get this kick?
37-yard line. First down and 10. Portis is one of the 4 Denver receivers. Plummer moving up. Has to get to the 47. And caught by Lilly. He beat Lehan. He's inside the 15-yard line. They'll mark him at the 18. At the 18-yard line, he is down. It's a 45-yard catch.
Remember, the clock's still running. Get set if you're Denver. Down the ball. Be cool. Have some composure.
And Plummer will spike it. It'll be second down and 10. Ashley Lilly's been criticized for drop passes all season long.
Well, he's getting a chance to go against Lehan. Lehan looks back, and it's too late by the time he does. Luckily for him, he gets a piece of Lilly as he's going to the ground.
They're going to kick it right now, Randy. They're going to put it up.
There's only 11 seconds left. Why risk getting caught in bounds and not being able to stop the clock?
36-yard try, holding Mike Anor, snapping Mike Leach. 36-yard try to tie the game into the win. He got it. And we are tied 6 seconds in regulation. What a game. What a game in December in Denver.
Jason Elam is in this situation, getting the snap, getting the hold, getting to tie this game up. Because Jake Plummer had the poise during the drive, and Ashley Lilly, who has struggled all year long, makes the biggest catch of his 2003 season and pulls a little bit of the Broncos' fat out of the fire.
Broncos took over on their 25, no timeouts, 1:11 left, and a spectacular series. Ashley Lilly, 3 catches, including the one that sets up Jason Elam for the game-tying field goal. Now Mike Orr will kick off. Andre King is back with, this is going to be taken by Jamel White, goes to a knee and declares himself down at the 38-yard line. 4 seconds in regulation.
And I want to go back to that catch by Ashley Lilly. I mean, the ball wasn't perfectly thrown. He just was able to twist his body around and make the clutch catch of the year for him.
You told a great story that Plummer told you about earlier this week in practice.
Oh, that huge circus catch he made in the back of the end zone and laid out
in practice.
You know, in practice. And Jake said, you know, nobody really said anything. But I know I'm back there going, well, I hope that's the one.
And he never lost calculation clock. And it's Frisman Jackson who takes the snap and winds and throws. And they go deep, batted and incomplete. And time is out, and overtime is upon us.
See, that's when you know your personnel. When you know that you have a backup wide receiver that's got more arm than either one of your regular quarterbacks. You put him in that.
To break the tie, there will be one sudden death overtime period. Each team will have with the ball. Which goal? Cleveland has won the toss, and they will receive. All right, here we go.
And they'll go into the wind.
But more importantly, they get the ball, Kevin.
Timeout with overtime ahead. Overtime kickoff.
And you're back to a field position football game.
Wind in his back, and he sends a rocket in and out of the end zone. Turnovers have been a problem for the Cleveland Browns, although not today. They had 4 against St. Louis on Monday night. What kind of frame of mind is Tim Couch in as he takes his team out there at his 21st and 10?
Well, relatively speaking, I think Tim Couch has got to be pretty confident with the work he's done with Morgan as receiver and Northcutt. Jamel White's done a nice job of running the ball. His offensive line has given him the time. You need to move the ball if you're thinking field goal about 50 yards. But at this rate, it's first down by first down and field position.
2 touchdown passes by Couch, 2 touchdown runs by Portis. Big-time field goals both way. Overtime, first play, 1st and 10 Couch. Here comes Al Wilson on the blitz. 2nd down and 10. He was drilled by Wilson.
And this is just a check blitz by Al Wilson, not necessarily steaming from the get-go. He sees nobody coming out on their route, and he just blitzes right up the heart of the defense, and Tim Couch got lucky getting that one away. It's the kind of defensive call you need, though. You have to be aggressive. Larry Coyer, the defensive coordinator, be aggressive.
4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive Denver backs. 2nd down, 10 at the 20. Jamel White grabbed by Reggie Hayward and Fada Fahy and thrown for a loss of 3 back to the 17.
Now, Kevin, we're talking field position. Remember, the wind is blowing from right to left. Defensive left end Reggie Hayward, watch the job he does crashing towards the center of the ball. He sees the play coming on a stunt, and he stunts right into Jamel White. But I'll say field position. You're punting into the wind. Denver's got a strong-legged kicker with the wind. You better get a first down or you're in trouble if you're Cleveland.
6 defensive backs now, 3 on the line, 3rd and 13. And Couch with the pocket crumbling, dumps it off over the head, uncatchable of White, almost picked off by Herndon. It's 3 and out for the Cleveland Browns, and Denver puts up a terrific defensive series.
Nice coverage down the field. The protection was there for Tim Couch, but there's nowhere to go. And this sets up Deltha O'Neal, who'll stand about his own 35, 40-yard line with a great opportunity for excellent field position.
Deltha O'Neal returned a punt against the Patriots for a touchdown. And here he goes from the 42, grabbed and brought down by Ben Taylor. 41 31-yard punt, 5-yard return. Broncos take over for their first overtime possession. These two teams meet. 86 AFC Championship game, down 7, faced with 3rd and 18. Bronco quarterback Elway hits Mark Jackson for a first down. Then on the drive, Elway a touchdown to Jackson sent the game into overtime, where Bronco kicker Rich Carlos won the game. 33-yard boot. Denver went on to the Super Bowl and with that win of 23-20.
You're a little more than 2 first downs away from range for Elam.
47-yard line. It is a first down. Hape in the backfield with Portis over 100 yards today. Great fake by Plummer. Everybody big. Kennard Lang is chasing. Look at Plummer dive inside the 35-yard line. It's a run of 23 yards to the 31 of the Cleveland Browns.
Kennard Lang, the entire right side of the defense, bites so hard on Jake Plummer's fake to Clinton Portis, and you gotta love that heart, you gotta love that moxie. But how about the blocking downfield here by Rod Smith? Nice cut block on Henry, puts Henry on the ground and buys Jake Plummer that extra 3 or 4 yards, which puts them in Elam field goal range.
30-yard line, 1st and 10. Grabbed by Rogers, hit by Little, gain of 7.
This situation is exactly why I was saying at the start of overtime, it's just a classic field position game. You get the ball because you win the toss, you better get first downs. You're battling the elements and you're battling field position. Cleveland right now is badly losing the field position war here in overtime.
So down to the 23-yard line, that big run by Jake Plummer was a key. 2nd down, 3.
About a 41-yard field goal at this point for Elam.
4-3-4 Cleveland Brown defense. Hape in the backfield with Portis. And Portis grab as he approaches a first down. Hit by Lehan and grabbed by Kennard Lang. It's a gain of 2. Portis today has got 125 yards on the ground. Look at Oakland and what they did to Baltimore. So now Cincinnati and Baltimore are tied for first place next week on CBS. Cincinnati, St. Louis. It's Dan Neal who is down on the offensive line, and this is the way it looks right now. Miami will play Philly tomorrow night in South Florida. Tennessee barely won today. Colts have clinched a playoff spot with Kansas City and New England.
And Baltimore at 8-6 now. Denver at 8-5. Baltimore and Denver earlier this year, you know, Baltimore beat the Denver Broncos. So they have that advantage over Denver. That's why it's so critical with teams like Baltimore, Miami, and whatnot. Denver has got to keep winning ball games and got to get that 10th win.
Jake Plummer, while with the Arizona Cardinals, directed 21 game-winning drives in the 4th quarter or in overtime. He has not done it so far with the Broncos.
Well, Jason Elam in this area, you can see that 91% yellow zone. He is money. Old rules don't apply. You don't have to wait till 4th down to kick a field goal. You get in possession, you like it, you kick a field goal, and you win.
3 tight ends, 1st and 10, 20-yard line. Clinton Portis grabbed by Ward and brought down. Michael Myers in there too, throwing him for a loss of 3.
That being said, you also don't want to lose 3 or 4 yards. Running to the left, and why do you lose 3 or 4 yards? Watch Barry Word come across the line of scrimmage. Mark Word comes across the line of scrimmage, not Barry, the old running back for Kansas City. Mark, the defensive end of the Cleveland Browns, comes up, gets penetration, and push Jason Elam another 3 or 4 yards further back.
2nd down and 13. The base defense remains a 4-3-4 look for the Cleveland Browns. They got Rod Smith as a receiver. 2 tight ends, Carswell on one side, short maneuvers, Hape in the backfield as the fullback. And here comes Portis, vaulting off his outstretched arm, lunging past the 20, down to the 16, and by doing that, picked up an additional 4 yards on a gain of 7 yards.
That was an excellent kickstand. His right arm is his kickstand. Watch the ball go in the left arm. Here comes the kickstand. 1, 2, 3, and he's finally down. That's just pure strength and pure want to. We talked about the speed earlier, and we also talked about the strength. What a great illustration of the pure physical strength of Clinton Portis.
Again, Portis, 36 carries, 130 yards, 60 minutes. Will follow this game except on the West Coast. The capture of Saddam Hussein will be the lead story tonight here on CBS.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you put the ball in the air at this point. If you're Mike Shanahan and the Denver Broncos, you just don't keep slamming this ball. You're looking at third down. I think there's an argument to be made here to kick this field goal on third down in overtime just in case something went wrong, whether it was a bad snap or a ball was blocked and the ball remained behind the line of scrimmage. It would still be your ball, and I'm sure they're discussing that with Mike Shanahan on the headsets.
Remember, the Denver Broncos control their own destiny. If they win out, they are a team in the playoffs. Right now in the 6th and final slot in the playoffs.
And we talked earlier about the remaining schedule after this game. It's not an easy job. If job number 1 is to beat Cleveland, then you're talking about going on the road and having to go to Indianapolis and one of the harder domes in the entire NFL to win in, and then the elements, the snow, the frozen field, and the tundra, etc. in Green Bay. You want to get number 9 here, and you want to get number 9 right now.
The 16-yard line. It's 3rd down and 6. The Denver timeout. Portis in the backfield. The 2 tight ends with sharp down motion. Smith, the lone receiver. Base Cleveland defense. Portis, hit by Bentley, brought down at the 10. Lunging perhaps for a first down inside the 10. He got it.
The key there was he was on a defender as he was going down. That's why he's able to get the ball over and reach for the extra yards. Watch his lower body. Bentley's arm, and he's able to reach for that first down.
37 carries. Ties a career high for Clinton Portis.
Yeah, he'll know he was in a ball game come tomorrow morning, though, when he wakes up. This Cleveland defense has put some serious wax on him. Career high 37 carries.
1st and goal just inside the 10. Portis back there with Mike Anderson. Block and a tackle made on that line, which brings him down at about the 7-yard line. Tyrone Rogers stops Portis after a gain of 3. He's hurt.
Remember, we talked about that defining moment a few weeks ago with Oakland when they drove that ball down and those bad elements featuring Portis and this offensive line. And Portis right now is down and suffering. I'm not sure if he didn't land on that football when he was tackled.
He's carried it 7 straight times.
He's a little bit tired. You know,
and that has been an issue here, because he pulls himself out sometimes too.
Not since that game against Chicago, where he ran 14 times for 165 yards, and every time he had a big play and got winded, he took himself out. Watch him go into the ground. I'm not sure if Rodgers didn't bend that leg around pretty good right there.
So 38 carries, a career high, 139 yards. Here's what Portis has done the last 3 weeks as his mom, Ronell Hearn, watches with a concerned look of a mother. 170 yards against Oakland. His 60 minutes is next, except on the West Coast. And that does not look good. 170 yards 2 weeks ago against Oakland. 218 he dropped on Kansas City last week, and tonight against the Cleveland Browns, 139.
It comes from the backside. The right leg gets pinned underneath. It was a good tackle and a nice play by Tyrone Rogers, but it trapped the right leg of Clinton Portis. He comes off the field, and Denver's going to kick this field goal right now on 2nd down.
No more screwing around. A 25-yard try. Wind at his back. Leach the snap. Mike Orr the hold, and this is for the win.
Kevin, it's a huge win for the Denver Broncos, but in hindsight, you think Mike Shanahan maybe would have wanted to kick that ball on 1st down and not give Portis that last run and risk hurting that leg?
The Denver Broncos go to 9-5. They've won 3 straight games, 4 of their last 5. Their home record now 6-2. AFC record 8-3. Elam's 4th career game winner in overtime, and Jake Plummer has directed his first game-winning drive for the Denver Broncos, the 22nd of his career. For Randy Cross, Kevin Harlan, so long from Vesco in Denver, where the final score, Denver 23, Broncos 20. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 38.
New England Patriots wide receiver Troy Brown returned to action after missing the previous 4 games due to injury. Early in the 4th quarter versus Jacksonville, he was on the receiving end of Tom Brady's 10-yard touchdown pass.
For more uncommon performances, log on to CBSSportsline.com and vote for the Uncommon Performance of the Week. Wachovia Securities. Together, we can achieve uncommon results.